Welcome back to another episode of Out of the Blink Podcast. Corey, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show. It's been about 5 months since we last talked. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah, Robbie, how you doing, man? It's been a minute, that's for sure.
Yes, it has.
So
Catch me
what's
up. Catch me up. What's going on in the world? Do
all
any
right?
drugs? Any good drugs?
Only bad ones. No, no. I just got back from Portland actually about a week ago. My wife was out there for 5 weeks for school, and so I was playing the single dad life here with just me and my boy, hanging out, getting in
Any
arguments.
kayak? Are they old enough? Is he old enough to argue yet?
Oh my God, yeah, but they're irrational. There's no logic whatsoever to a 4-year-old's brain.
Like, why can't we have a house made of candy? Because it'll melt. It'll melt. The sun will come.
It'll
It'll
melt.
melt.
No. M&M's don't melt in the sun. It's like, damn it, he's right. No, but like it would just. Let me think of a good example. I can't even think of one. There's just too many. But like it's just completely illogical. Where it's like he wants to do something, but it's like, well, you can't do that because you got to put your shoes on. I don't want to put my shoes on. Okay, but the park has wood chips, and you'll step on them, they'll hurt your feet. I'm not wearing shoes. Okay, then we're not going to the park. I want to go to the park, and it's just this round and around and around and around.
Why don't you just let them figure it out?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes, yeah, it's like, all right, fine, try it. It's called natural consequences.
Yeah. It's like they'll learn. I touched a light bulb a couple of times when I was a kid, and my grandpa was like, "Don't, I wouldn't do that." And I'd be like, "I'm going to do it anyway." And then I did it, and I got hurt from it, and I learned.
Well, that one doesn't count anymore. All the light bulbs are LED now.
I know if you touch them now, you're going to get more than just a burn. You're going to get like skin cancer or something like that.
Yeah, that one. What is that? The EF? What do they call EF5 or something like that? Some sort of that thing they say that the what is it, like their waves or whatever that they transmit? They say they cause cancer.
I don't know about that. Is that from RFK Jr.? Are you pulling that
It might be.
information from?
It might be. I don't know. He said some wacky stuff.
Everyone says wacky stuff. We don't have anybody that I feel like. All right, so well, guess we'll cut right into this. But I was talking with my buddy yesterday about this. We were doing a little day drinking, and he was talking about like, what would you ever run for president? I was like, I don't. First of all, I think I've told you this before. That would be the dumbest thing in the world because I just don't believe in the president really has any power. But I'm starting to kind of be more vocal about this, which is I think you need to just have one person who's going to sacrifice probably 2-3 years of their first term, even maybe that's their only term, to just rooting out corruption.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally going to like making a public statement in front of everybody saying every single politician, whatever money you got funded to, I want to see receipts for every single bill that went somewhere. And if it didn't go to that, then you're out of the job. It's going to piss a lot of people off, especially the politicians you're calling out. But I feel
Yeah,
like
you'd probably get Kennedy'd.
yeah, but you'd have to sacrifice a term to do that. You'd have to be either like if they're going to vote somebody else in, you just have to start getting it back on a good system. You wouldn't have to worry about, and people are going to be upset with you. They're going to be like, why aren't we, gas is $5 fucking. It's like, yeah, but this is how we got to do this. And then if you elect me again, I'll make sure you guys do get some real change. But right now, you got nobody honest in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's, and you'd have to be uncorruptible yourself because if you have a smidge of anything, of a skeleton in your closet, they're going to double down and come after you to expose your corruption to hide their own.
That's why you don't do anything extracurricular. I think the worst I do is like maybe crack some off-color jokes on some podcasts.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I do. Some uncouth, clunky statements here and there.
Look, there's just some stuff about society that really pisses me off. Like I was in the grocery store or not even the other day, it was yesterday, liquor store, picking out booze. And we're kind of looking through and saw some moonshine. I was like, I'll take some of this. And we're getting ready to go pay. And there's a woman in there holding her baby. And she's like, oh, I've had that moonshine before. It's really, really good. And I was like, oh, awesome. And she's like, you know what I like to add on top of it? I'm like, what? And she's like, a little bit of ketamine. I'm like, what? She's just sitting there like straight face with a baby. And I live in a beach town. So you got to remember there's people that come from all over that come here. So I don't know where she was from. She's definitely not from around here, but she just
She's like, I'm
calmly
on
said
vacation, just doing ketamine with the kid.
just, moonshine and ketamine. And I'm like, okay. And then I went over to the
What's
cashier.
crazy? What's crazy is ketamine starting to be used as an actual like therapeutic drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to do it in vape form.
Is that how they do it?
Yeah, it's like a little puffer thing. You just take a quick little hit from it.
That's one drug I've never done. I was big in the rave scene when I was younger and stuff, and then you would see people in those K-holes and they're walking all sideways and stuff, and it's like, that's not one that I'm interested in.
Were you really in the rave scene?
Yeah, yeah. Dubstep was really, really, really big
Oh
here,
God.
like 10 years ago, and I had buddies who were DJs, and I would help them set up and stuff, and we'd be in some grimy, grimy clubs at like 4 in the morning. No business being there. Nothing but trouble.
I don't judge the crowd, but I've went to a Steve Aoki concert before, and I realized I do not fit that. I go to like reggae concerts and stuff like that, maybe rock. I'll go to a country concert. I can even blend in with some country people. A lot of people assume I'm country anyway for some reason. They're like, "You like country music, don't you?" And I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "You're you're white." I'm like, "Fuck does that mean?" I'm wearing board shorts. Do I look like I fucking listen to country music? No.
Kenny Chesney.
No. But the rave scene when I went to a Steve Aoki concert, I was up in the balcony. There's just all these kids in the back with these light up fingertip gloves, just doing like this and shit. And I'm like, are they either on drugs or they look like they're having the best time of their fucking life. So I'm not hating on it.
Eyes are bigger than saucer plates.
They had sunglasses on and it was dark inside.
Yeah, well, that's because they didn't want you to see their eyes. Their pupils the size of
The sober
Buick
cure.
tires. Yeah.
You should say the size of Buick tires.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was fun. I'm glad that I got in and out without being one of those people who's like 40, still at a rave, just doing their best to try to fit in, chasing the ride, trying to keep up with the times and stuff.
It's called
Uh,
chasing father's time
yeah,
as he's slowly driving away.
yeah, exactly. And then so went out to Portland. Portland's a interesting town, very interesting.
Lots
The
of
the
drugs.
Lots of drugs, lots of homeless people, but I guess it's in a positive site. There was less homeless people this year when I went compared to last year. Like, like it's insane. It's really insane. Like you being where you are, I have a feeling that like it's like kind of like kept up pretty nice. It's a tourist town. They try to keep things, looking good so people can come back and stuff like that. But like out there, there's just shanty towns and parks. Like you'd be in this really, really nice park, these big sequoias. It's a beautiful park, but in the parking lot there'd be like 8 RVs just set up, just where people are just living. And then they got like junk all around their cars. Like they have like a pickup truck with their bed, which I guess is their garage. They just put stuff in, and like they're set up for like a while. But this time I went where there would normally be like 8 or 9 RVs. There was only like 3 or 4. And then like, instead of like seeing like clusters of like 15 tents, there'd only be like 6 or 7.
Is Oregon eliminating the homeless pot? Like, are they actually trying to like clean up the streets, or are just the homeless people just disappearing?
I think that they're just moving them around more, so I'm not letting them just sit in one place for as long. They're coming and saying, "All right, you gotta get moving," you know.
Well, we know about the Biomedical Tissue Services of Japan or their sanitation department, that code name for the people that used to go around and pick up people in black vans and just you never see them again. So I'm wondering if they're doing that with the homeless people.
That they're pushing at doing that in New York. You heard about that? They're doing so what they're doing in New York is they're passing legislation to where they can pick up homeless people that are having like mental issues and bring them to a mental hospital or something like that. Like they're basically rounding them up.
And then what?
I don't know. We could look it up.
Like, that's what they did with like insane asylums back in the day. We know how that went. I mean, they were locking people up for like ADHD and a bunch of other disorders that they had back then, and you know, they just stay in there. What do you do? Then you got a bunch of people on top of each other, like shitting all over the place. Did you see that? It was the Stanford, not Stanford prison experiment. There was a Willowbrook State School, which was it was an old army facility, but was turned into like an asylum for medically insane people, and they had like hundreds of them stacked in a room the size of the room I'm in right now, which isn't that big, and they were like naked. You can find photos of these. I can actually probably be able to pull up some of these photos for you to see. But these people, like I've read, and I got interested in this a long time ago, but they were like shitting on the floor, pissing on each other, naked. Um, yeah, it's just like I don't know. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah. New York City. Here's New York Times article. New York City to involuntarily remove mentally ill people from the street. Mayor Eric Adams directed the police and emergency medical workers to hospitalize people they deemed too mentally ill to care for themselves, even if they pose no threat to others. That just sounds too. That sounds too vague,
Wait,
too broad.
even if they don't pose a threat to others?
Yeah. You could be walking down the street, and if you're just mumbling a little bit too loud and you're making people uncomfortable, they're just gonna have the white van pull up
Wait,
and
what
go,
happens
"Come
if you
on."
have Tourette's?
You're fucked, I guess. But if you're not homeless and you have Tourette's, you're fine because you're paying
Look,
taxes.
I got
They're like,
ADHD, but I have an impulsive thing. Sometimes I'll say something I don't really mean to say. It just kind of comes out.
oh yeah, the no filter. Same here. And you say like you, and then you look around with this like half smile, like everyone else is gonna love it, and everyone's like, "Dude, what the fuck did you just say?"
I made my manager, there's a person, like a guest that comes into the gym to buy a day pass or whatever. And he goes, where's the Wi-Fi? And I pointed at the computer, because it's on the computer on the other side of it. So he would have been looking right at it. And he turns around and looks at the clothes rack, but he had his headphones in. So I just like I said, "Hey man, look at the computer." And he looked back at me and then looked back at the wall where the clothes rack was. And I just went, Jesus Christ. And my my boss just he like went like this. And then he walked around the corner. I go, "Oh, that's gonna get me in a little bit of trouble, ain't it?" And then he comes back around and I'm like, I didn't mean to, it was an impulse thing. I'm sorry. And he just goes, "No, I had to go around the corner because I was dying laughing at the way you just randomly did that." I was like, "All right, good,
Just
good." Just so we're clear. I just didn't want to get in trouble for that.
yeah, there's a guy at my work who he does that. Like he'll sit, but he oh, you're screen sharing. Okay. I was like, what the fuck happened?
I finished your sentence. I just wanted to pull this up.
But yeah, he's the same way. He just says shit, and it's like, dude, and like, but he doesn't even mean it, like mean, you know, like we got this new temp in, and he's a bigger guy, and I'm over there by the machine, and I had to bend over to grab something, and this guy goes, "Can you touch your toes?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can touch my toes," you know, and he goes, "I can't. My back is messed up." And then he asked this guy who's just like really really big, and he goes, "Oh, can you touch your toes?" And the guy just stares at him like, "What the fuck, dude?"
There's
He's like,
way
"No."
there's usually way worse photos, but this is all they got right. At least I'm finding as soon as I just with a quick search. But there's like, I mean, this amount of people stacked like in a closet, basically.
Did, and so what was this, because they didn't have the space or the funds? They just
No, they just literally, this is what they did. They just gathered people up and they literally kept, and they would do a medical experiments on these people.
oh my god.
So that's the thing is like they were injecting people with hepatitis. They were doing like they're not fixing it
Oh,
like
to
the
see if it
Tuskegee
was
stuff.
spread. Yeah, to see
Yeah,
how it would spread and stuff
they
like
were
that. That's
just
so gross.
eventually the doctors just started testing things on people, seeing what would go on. It was around not really around the time, it was a lot later than MK Ultra, but there's like notes of that like weird experimentation stuff with psychologists and psychiatric people. And then that was one of those horrible, because there's mentally challenged kids that would just be dropped off there and parents wouldn't return. Kids are getting injected with tetanus and like crazy shit where you're just like, what the hell? Like, why? And they shut it down and everything like that. But it was just a lot of people don't know about
Did
that.
they? No, I'm just kidding. That's
Did
conspiratorial.
they?
But yeah, no, that shit's crazy. They used to do a lot of stuff like that. Like there was this one study, oh, I forget the baby's name, but they were trying to like see if like they can condition fear and things like that. And like they kept taking like little fake bunnies and giving it to this baby and then like popping balloons behind it and making a bunch of noise to scare the baby. And then eventually the baby did like have fear of like cute things and nice things. Like they were able to condition this baby to be afraid of like things that all the other kids would like. Like is
And you know what happens to that kid when they become an adult?
it
They
was,
turn into a Ted Bundy or somebody that's just unstable and mentally messed up.
but hey, at least in New York they're covering their ground, they're covering their tracks, and they're just gonna take those ones and throw them into the mental
Make
hospital.
them disappear. Somebody check the Hudson and you just find a whole bunch of homeless bodies in the Hudson.
That's where they're going.
It's like when China had that pollution problem, or in Beijing when the Olympics were going to go there. And it's just like, how did they get rid of all the pollution? It went from like a really peak high point to like zero, basically non existent pollution. And then Robin Williams' joke was he believed that everybody in Beijing went over there and then everybody inhaled and then they walked like a couple miles away from Beijing and then just breathed it all out.
That's actually a good joke. We were. I was. I thought about making a group on Facebook for when the Canadian fires were happening. Did you guys get fucked there too with the air quality?
We got a lot of like hazy smoke, but I thought it was just like misty. I felt like, oh, we're because that happens to our town a lot since we're on the beach, but we're lucky the water dissipates a lot of that stuff out there. But yeah, that smoke was out there for a while, and everyone, well, even all my friends that would have called me conspiracy theorists because of the JFK stuff were like, did you notice all the fires started at the same time? I'm like, look, that's really conspiracy. But then Maui gets on fire, then all these people are going over there buying the property. I'm like, God damn it. I was like, I don't know at this point.
Yeah, that one. I guess the governor there was trying to say they're not going to allow corporations to come in and buy up the land and stuff like that. But yeah, that one that does because the whole land grab thing. But the Maui fire stuff that was like just as much of just like government incompetence as anything. Like, do you ever hear of the Jones Act?
No.
So the Jones Act is this act that it's like a protectionist law they put in like the 20s to where like if a ship is going to go from port to port in America, it has to have and there's like only 95 of these ships in the country. It has to be built in America, registered in America, manned by American crews, and have an American flag as its like mast flag. And there's only 95 of these ships in the country, and 20 of them are in the Great Lakes because like, we go from port to port in Michigan in the Great Lakes and stuff. So they don't have very many of these ships, and they need uh resources out there because their whole town just got torched, and they're having trouble getting stuff there because of this act. And it's been waived before for other things, but I don't unless there's an update on it. Biden didn't even waive it yet. And then so like it's just having a hard time getting resources out there. And then FEMA is like not letting the community come in to help. They're trying to make it to where they're the ones taking care of it, which would make someone also kind of think that's conspiratorial. Like they've set themselves up for failure on this one so bad that it does look conspiratorial. The Land Use Act is another one. So they have the Land Use Act there where they were really really strict on the way the land was going to be used, like for farmers versus houses, because they didn't want a big urban sprawl on their island. So they made it to where most of it's rural and they have this small little area for the houses, but because like they can't build more houses, it artificially raised the prices of the houses. And because the prices of the houses went so high, people who used to be farmers on the island couldn't afford to be farmers there anymore, so they moved. So now there was all this land with grass that isn't necessarily flame resistant because Hawaii is used to fires, but there was all this grass that they were using to feed cattle on the island that wasn't native to the island, that was more like it's like regular grass that would dry and then burn and stuff like that, and it was just left unkempt, and it was just growing everywhere because the farmers weren't there to take care of it anymore.
All they got to just protect where they keep the pineapples at in Hawaii.
Yeah. Do they grow pineapples on Maui?
I don't know if it's. I mean, maybe. I mean, I have family in Maui. I don't. I think it's Honolulu is where they grow a lot of their pineapples and
Oh,
stuff
thank
like
God.
that. But those things take 48 months to grow pineapples. So they plant fields upon fields upon fields upon fields of pineapples. I mean, for a whole like you could drive for a good hour and just it's just nothing but fields of pineapple because they got like I said, it takes 48 months. So they're constantly planting and then they have different batches that come over. That's why pineapple is usually like a seasonal thing. It's like you get some pineapples in stores mostly when it's like the season for it. But Dole Plantation runs all that down there. And that's Bob Dole, if you know his connections with like the government and shit like that, which is he's like one of those Rockefeller types. Big bit yeah, but I mean pineapple. I'm sorry. Look, I appreciate Hawaii for everything that it has, but I don't know. I think a lot of people like it's just weird how things trend in society so far. Just we have a total influx of so much information that's like first is now it's going to be the Maui fires, then what next week is going to be something completely different. Like people don't want to invest the time into something. You know what I mean? Like they had Gabby Petito running for like 8 months, it felt like on the news, the missing influencer. And I'm like, I've never even heard of this person. But like all you're doing is watching something you literally have no power to be able to do anything about. You're just watching. So it's like, why don't we show some things that people can actually produce real change for? Like, if you want to donate to Maui, here's a link. But instead, they're just going to talk about the fires for however long.
Yeah, and then this and like I'm pretty sure like everyone's just on the same page except for the people that have their head in the sand. Like climate change is real. but it pisses me off that it's just used as a scapegoat. Like, oh darn, we can't do nothing about this because climate change. When like I was just saying like how those different things happen there with government incompetence that like could like help like mitigate these disasters. Instead of being able to find someone to place blame on, they just, oh darn, climate change. Just
How
can't do
did the
nothing about it.
how did the fire start though? What are they saying started it?
Oh, so that was another thing. That was corporate, incompetence, corporation incompetence. There was high winds and stuff that day. And like so in places like California when there's really, really high winds and there's chances of it downing power lines, they'll cut the power. They didn't do that on Hawaii. And poles were snapping and things were sparking and they kept the power on, and that's what started the fire. Was a telephone pole fell. Or a tree branch fell onto a telephone pole. Like someone had a video of the sparks and stuff happening, and then that's what. And he was out there with his hose trying to put it out, and you watch the wind just take this fire, just right up the hill, because it was all
Damn.
so dry. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And then,
I was hoping it was going to be a more mysterious answer, like it was the James Webb Telescope that's slowly just burning people's specific locations and starting fires. That's a better conspiracy.
they're keeping it focused on one spot for a very long
And
time.
look, I haven't seen them post pictures of anything from space in a while now. I'm just saying, I think that thing's up there just trying to, when the guy had an idea to reduce the ozone or the heat that's coming from the ozone by trying to put a giant mirror or magnet to block back some of the sun's rays. And I'm like, if that thing is like Futurama where it reverses and it turns into like you're burning an ant with a magnifying glass or just starts burning and taking targeted
Just on
burns.
accident. Or what if that's what this really all is? What if like we are like a small organism that we even realize, and there is just a giant ass 7-year-old with a magnifying glass?
Dude, I'm so pessimistic about society now. I just don't even like I don't know how hopeful you are for change actually happening, but at this point I'm just like anything that happens, I'm like, whatever. Who cares?
There's small steps that sometimes give me faith. Like just recently I was helping with a ranked choice voting petition to get it on the ballot in a city by me, and we got it. So they're gonna have better choices for their voting out there, and hopefully we can get that to more cities and states.
When you say better choices for voting, what do you mean by better choices? Is the candidate still the same?
Yeah, but you just have more options. And like
Like
with ranked
what?
choice vote, like you just with ranked choice voting, you don't just have to pick one or the other. With that third option being the spoiler, you can rank them from who you like most to who you like least. And then it just gets tabulated and accumulated, and you have to have at least 50% of the vote. And it's how they do it. Like they do it, I think they do it in Maine.
It makes me feel like we're in grade school. Most likely to succeed, most likely to die before they're 30. Like that's what we're doing at this point now.
Did you get voted for anything most likely in high school?
Most likely to die at 30.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
How old are you right now?
25.
You got 5 years, bud.
Joke on them. I'm dying. I'm driving off a cliff. I'm gonna Bonnie and Clyde it.
Did you die on your 30th birthday? Your whole class.
No,
is
it's Thelma and Louise. Whoops. Thelma and Louise just drive off a cliff.
You die on your birthday at 30, and everyone just gonna be like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, make them feel like shit.
Yeah, just to make them feel like shit. To take that. Oh, that's funny. Where was I going with all that? I don't know. Government sucks, but we're trying to make it better, I guess.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. We mentioned talking about Oliver Anthony because he's been. I thought the song was really good. I talk to a lot of people on the left, so I can see what the left is getting upset about when it comes to certain things that I guess would be conservative. And I saw you say something about it. I was like, well, there's the conservative side of Libservative coming out of Corey
Oh
there.
yeah. Well, so I just have a soft spot for authentic country music.
Yeah, it wasn't. That's the thing is that you can't say it's a bad song, even if his singing is like you don't like his singing. It's that the emotion is what matters in it. And obviously, if you want to talk about people being like either brainwashed into something, the way he sang that was he's in 100% belief of what he was singing. I'm not saying he's wrong, and I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying the emotion that came out of that was someone that is from what they're singing and what they're caring about singing with that emotion means that's 100% real to them. And that's authenticity.
Yeah, it's
So
the world as he sees it.
that's the only thing that you should grade that song by is the genuine authenticity compared to what we usually see with just people just rapping or they're talking or they're singing. And it's usually just trying to capture what that authenticity is, but nobody actually sings. Most of it's about like, I'm in a blue truck in a cornfield.
Yeah, that whole "Try That in a Small Town" song that was just trash by Jason Aldean.
I
When
just didn't think it was good. It was like, doesn't matter if it's political or not. The song just
it just
sucked.
sucked, and it took 4 people to write it. I shit you not, dude. It took 4 fucking people to write that garbage.
God damn.
Yeah, and so
Add
that's
a
what's
slide
weird.
whistle. It would have been a lot better.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then like,
needed.
and it is so funny, and it just like that song just shows like how Nashville is, like how they just try to pander to get people to actually like listen to the music and try to get all these people and do this stuff. And the song comes out, and then Jason Aldean is like, "Oh, I don't know, no apologies for the music video or nothing." And then like 4 days later, they removed some of the footage from the music video because it was making too many people mad. And it's like, oh, there goes your values, I guess. And just because like this, all Nashville cares about is making money for the grift.
Surprisingly, for my town, I mean, what's your population like politics wise down there where you're at?
Oh, it's like damn near 50-50. We're a blue
Oh,
state. I mean, we're a purple state.
I meant like, is it just Republicans, Democrats? You got conservatives, liberals? What do you got?
Um, so there's it's a lot of like the cities, like the Metro Detroit area and the suburbs. The suburbs kind of flip flop back and forth from be going blue and red, like depending on who, like what they're voting for. This like the cities like Ferndale is really liberal, Royal Oak's really liberal, Detroit's like kind of liberal, but like just solid Democrat. But then as soon as you get out like where I'm at or like anywhere north, ruby red.
Did your mic switch?
Yeah, I think it did.
Now it's back.
All right. I don't know why it did that.
Just be careful not leaning back so far.
Right. This is
Um,
just stay very still.
but like, what would you say, like your friend group? What's your friend group politics like majority?
So me, it's probably about 50-50. I have some friends who are bleeding heart liberals, and then I have some friends that are just like you would think that they were born in 1930, well, not 1936. That's just a weird date, but they're just super conservative. Like I have friends like when I said I'm going to Portland, I've had friends that would say, "Oh, I love Portland. They're just doing it right out there." And then other people that would be like, "Dude, what, you're gonna go out there? You're gonna get hepatitis. You're gonna step on a needle." Like, good luck getting robbed by a homeless person, like that kind of shit. Like it's
I'm definitely apolitical, but I would probably be more comfortable around people that had the conservative mindset, only because I think I can crack jokes and people would understand that it's a joke, not real. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I'm not saying the right's more apt to believe in conspiracies, but they also, like, if I crack a joke about, like, I don't know, something like whether it's like burning down from James Webb Telescope, if I say that, it's not going to be giving me with some type of like dead stare. It's just kind of looked at like, all right, you don't fucking actually believe that. I was like, of course I don't believe that, but that's the thing. I want to joke around and have fun with it. But I've noticed that, like, a lot of my friends that are either, if they're women and they're older and they have kids, they become conservative, even though they might have been like kind of liberal at a point. But I just don't believe in any of it because I think everyone's just trying to sales pitch. I had a guest on recently who his song is called, or not song, his band is called, not band, fuck, his book is called Brutal Minds, and it's about how the left is brainwashing institutions. Now, I do agree with that. I do think there's plenty of evidence to support that there's like the teachers and institutions are mostly left. And from his research, he says it's 6-1, conservative 1, and liberal being 6. And they teach kind of one-sided information, which I've even noticed on my show. I'll be told some things about like COINTELPRO, and they'll be like, it's an invasion against the Black Panther Party. That is true. But it's also they invaded the KKK, and they don't want to hear that because then it becomes less of a race issue and more of
becomes
a
more
corruption
nuanced.
issue. Well, my whole thing is like, I look at everything like the government doesn't give a shit what you look like or what you are. They just want to be able to get away with the things that they want to do. And if I do agree that if they're going to experiment on people or if they're going to mess with people or really make people's lives suffer, it's a lot easier towards things that don't get a lot of attention, ethnicities, things of that sort. But overall, if I say something that offends the government or gets them mad at me, doesn't matter what color I am, I'm going away. Something's going to happen. And I've noticed that with friends that I've seen get raided by the FBI, but nobody likes to say that, especially people like on the left or something like that. I was like, look at this as a power issue. Like we have
Yeah, almost
major
like a class
corruption.
issue.
Yeah. Well,
Listen to you sounding like a leftist.
is that being a leftist?
If it's class, yeah, like left, like so liberals. A lot of times they focus on more things like race, but like leftists, like your real socialists, like the ones who are like in the SRA, which is the Socialist Rifle Association, which is equivalent to the NRA. Like even Karl Marx said, the workers must be armed. Like leftists, if you go left enough, you get your guns back, and then it's for them, it's like strictly class. Like they don't care if you're black, white, like a Republican or a Democrat. If you're a part of the working class and you want to work together to take down the bourgeois, then that's what it is.
Well, I definitely believe there's like race issues and societal issues that need to be kind of fixed. I don't think anybody's denying that. I just think we need to look at this as more like less attacking your fellow man because they might have a different perspective and more attacking the institution or the thing that sets the things policies you have problems with in the first place. I don't think that's a big conspiratorial thing to even say, but we have billionaires, for instance, like incentivize them to donate some of their money to help out in certain situations. I know they get like tax breaks and stuff like that, but it's no more than the average person. I'm not saying that make them harder conditions for billionaires, but I'm saying incentivize them to do more with their money and help out people. That's not even like putting a punishment or just saying, oh, I'm punishing you for succeeding. Like everyone brings up that point, like, oh, we're going to punish people for being successful so they have to donate more. I'm like, well, incentivize them to,
I don't know, give them a trophy that says you did it, you won capitalism.
fuck, give them an Oscar. I don't give a shit. Just do something. Like, you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of stuff. And it's like, even when you look at like Oliver Anthony's song, when a lot of things, I think the issues with the left was when they started talking about like the 300 pounds and on welfare.
That's where everyone gets hung up on it. Yeah.
To me, that was funny as shit. That was a good lyric. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. So, and like when he says that, like everyone is like, so he feels like he's poor, so he wants to take it from other poor people, but he never said he wants to take it away. He was talking about being a working poor person in this country who, the very unfortunate, they're taken care of by the state. If you're 300 pounds obese, whether it's self-inflicted or not, you're definitely not living as high quality of life as like you or I are, but they get help from the state. The super rich people don't need help because they have all the money in the goddamn world. And then in the middle is the people who are struggling to get by, who have to return pop cans to get gas for the car to get to work, but they make too much to get help from the government. And they're working more and more hours for less pay. Like since the
That's
70s. Yeah. Since the 70s, production has gone up, weight and inflation has gone up, but
fuck, I found out you can get paid for having ADHD. It's a disability apparently. So I was like, how do I qualify for that? I'd like to sign up.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Give me a damn check for $200 something.
Maybe I'll have to try that.
They were like, you can make upwards of $600 a month. I was like, excuse me?
Just go in there and just have
what the fuck am I podcasting?
Right, just you go in there and literally have a conversation like you have on the podcast, and then they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this guy's ADHD as fuck."
I know. I was like, do I have to interview, or can I just send you a clip to my podcast and you let me know if I'm ADHD or not?
I think you're so ADHD that the white van shows up and they're throwing you in the back.
The best thing I've ever had was I had a test on air recently, and the guy, he was like, I want to give you a test. I'm like, oh God. And he was like, he starts writing it down. I was like, what did I say? He was like, well, that's what ADHD people do when they're given a task. They tend to give out an emotional response to deflect from the task. And I go, damn it. He goes, you just did it again. I go, God damn it. He goes, that's another one. So we get to the actual like task and everything. And he's like, this is what the problem with ADHD is. It's a problem with your working memory. And I go, well, I'm not an idiot. I can have conversation. I know a lot about the 60s and 70s. I'm a little bit below average on intelligence. I'll give you that. Okay. But he goes, working memory. He goes, that's not what that is. It's not about being an idiot. He goes, but if I give you this test, you're probably not going to win. And I was like, what is the test then? He goes, all right, here's 5 things I'm going to give you, 5 names. You're going to put them in alphabetical order based on their first letter. And, we'll see what you come up with. And he goes, bumblebee, kangaroo, igloo, hippopotamus, and zebra. And then like, as he said all those, I go, well, I forgot one of those words already, but bumblebee, hippopotamus, igloo, and zebra. He's like, well, you mixed up igloo and hippopotamus. Those are going to be reversed. And I was like, okay. And he goes, and you forgot one of the words. He goes, that's working memory. It's when someone says something to you and immediately it's gone.
Yeah.
Because you're too paying attention on something else in the task of someone just gave you a task. Now your brain is saying it's on a task. And now, but there's other parts where my brain would succeed in, which is long-term memory, which is attention to detail, which is spontaneous and out of the box thinking, things of that sort. But there's just executive function issues. So I'm like, shit, give me my check from the government. I want $400. I'm going to start an OnlyFans too while I'm at it. Like, what are you doing for work then? If to qualify for this check, you need to have a job. And I was like, I do have a job. Like, what's your job? I was like, I work at a gym. Like, okay, what else do you do in your free time? How many hours are you getting? Like, I have an OnlyFans. Like, excuse me. I'm like, I'm making $80,000 a month doing OnlyFans. And they're like, why do you need a check from us? It's like, because I can.
Because I fucking can.
Because I can. I'm going to donate it immediately. Like, to what? I'm like, to the charity of people that can't see the color red. Nobody's talking about it but me. And those people need help.
They do. Stop signs, red
I know,
lights.
they're
fucked. And no one's talking about these silent victims.
I always say that. I was like, I want to donate to a charity because I feel like St. Jude's and all that. And I understand they need help, but it's everywhere, man. Everyone talks about it. What about the people that have like specific, like maybe it's a low population in the charity, but still they need help too.
What about us
talking
left-handed
about
people?
the red? Yeah, left-handed people.
The whole world's designed for right-handed people.
Oh God. You want to play that card? ADHD, for instance, the whole world's designed for neurotypical people and not ADHD.
Yeah, I know. I'm double fucked.
I know. We're screwed.
Go ahead and write with your left hand.
I'm ambidextrous, so it's not too bad.
And with a pencil on paper, and tell me how your hand looks. 20 minutes later.
Oh, it's smeared. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all smeared, and you got these little dimples in there from the ring on the binder. And
I got that from Billy Mays when he was talking about when he was in school back when they had like the ink and all that type of shit he used to write with his left hand and he would smear everything on the paper from writing from his left hand so that they would slap his hand with a ruler and make him write with a right till he learned
left-handed right. Devil. Yep.
And then that man had a terrible fate because of an airplane incident.
Oh, Billy Mays?
Yeah, don't you remember he hit his head on the airplane thing when it hit some bad turbulence, and I guess he died from it later or something?
Oh my God, I thought Billy Mays died from cocaine.
What?
He's the ShamWow guy, right?
No, that's oh God. Billy Mays is the guy. Hi, Billy Mays here with a special TV offer.
Yeah, ShamWow.
The guy with the big beard.
Yeah, Billy Mays here.
ShamWow didn't have a beard.
Who did ShamWow?
That's Vince.
That was the new guy.
Vince is in prison right now, unless he's dead.
Why do we have so much knowledge on infomercial people?
Because that's all they did was play at 1 o'clock in the morning. You'd wake up and it'd either be George Lopez with his head going on screen like dun 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 dun, and you're like, what the fuck? Or it'd be something selling a CD. You can get these 2 CDs for $24.99, and if you call right now, we'll drop that to $5.99. You're like, it's a $15 or $20 deal. You're like, why are you dropping it $20? If I call, are they worth dog shit in the first place?
Yeah, it's like the entire who would that be? That'd be someone
did you want to own
James
all
Brown
of my
catalog. James Brown catalog.
Did you want to own all of Michael Jackson's baby videos? And I'm like, actually, you know what? Now that I say that example, actually that would be very interesting to watch all Michael Jackson's baby videos of him growing up as a kid because he had a horrible childhood.
Yeah, his dad fucked with him a lot. Not like in that way, because the way it came out was weird. But yeah, his dad definitely just ran him through the ringer to be this child star. And
they just released something about the Neverland thing that came out. They just released a bunch of stuff about, oh no, all the money and proceeds they started a foundation to donate to young children. I'm like, you guys just leave young kids alone, just like forever.
Yeah, just stop fucking with kids.
I don't know. It's because people can. That's why.
It's an easy grift. People care about kids. It's an emotional reaction. So you can make a lot of money just by saying you're helping kids. But yeah, the Oliver Anthony song.
Okay. We went off on a little tangent, didn't we?
But yeah, that one line is the one that gets people. But like I was saying, it's It might be a little clunky, a little like, a little maybe uncouth.
My only issue with that song is that when he said the island thing, when he said, "I wish politicians would look out for minors and not just minors on an island somewhere."
Yeah.
I watched a bunch of reaction videos where people laughed at that part, and everyone got that was like an Epstein joke.
Yeah.
And my issue is that nobody's fucking talking about it.
Yeah. No one. Yeah. You noticed. Yeah. You noticed that. Like everyone, that part did get
Everyone
hush
knows
hushed.
about it. The number of people that I've seen, friends of mine, that laughed at that part or said something about that part, and none of them talk about any Epstein shit and make me feel like a conspiracy theorist because I'll interview a journalist who tried to expose his book or something. I even had one of his victims comment on my channel and was like, "This investigative reporter abused me or took my story and ran with it." I'm like, "I'm sure that's true. I'm sorry that happened to you." But at the same time, I don't that thing is so clouded with so much dog shit. But the fact that most of society got that reference and we're not talking about it as people. We're not even talking about where'd Ghislaine go? I don't know.
Yeah. Like exactly. Like what happened to the list? She was just ran through the ringer in court.
Probably packed into a can of sardines somewhere in a warehouse, wait until it ripes at the old age of 20,270.
Yeah. That one's frustrating. It's because it would take down too many people. The elites aren't going to let that happen. We're talking people on the left and the right, like all up and down the ring. So it's just, yeah, that's it. There's probably just a new head out there that no one knows of that still is the underground railroad.
I just don't know
kids.
how the hell you can own an island and nobody else know about it.
I mean, people knew he owned the island, but you mean like what was happening there, like the devious shit?
You'd have to have someone check your island like weekly just to make sure you're not up to nefarious shit. Like, how many
Are you
people,
saying they should be like that?
how many rich billionaires that buy an island just want to import animals there and just have this epic wild game hunt where they're hunting like rare exotic creatures that'll probably one in existence. And then next thing you know, after a while, the game becomes old and you want to start inviting people. That's where the homeless are going. New York, we got you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, New York and Portland, they're exporting their homeless to islands for the elite to hunt.
Hey, look, there's no more homeless, and the elite get
That's
a nice.
that's a book, right? You ever read that book?
What?
Most Dangerous Game.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, that's why I said that. Yeah, it's a book.
I thought Lord of the Flies for some reason.
Did they do that in Lord of the Flies? They hunted
I don't know.
people?
It's a bunch of kids on an island. There's a lot of books about people on islands.
Yeah.
I think everyone has that fantasy. It takes exactly 7 days before you decide that you're hungry enough to eat somebody.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Donner Party of Four. You know the Donner Party, right?
Yeah, I know.
A friend of mine actually owns an island. It's a little island though. There's no room for basements or weird creepy dungeons.
Is that the one you went kayaking on?
I went kayaking on Lake Trillium out in Portland, but the weekend before that I was at my buddy's. It's up by me. Yeah, we were on kayaks and stuff, but yeah, it's just this little island. He calls it Booze Hole Island. We go up there once a year. He has this big event. We do like this year we did beer Olympics. Last year we did a treasure hunt. Pretend to be pirates. And
Do you typically watch news?
I more or less listen to podcasts and stuff.
Okay.
I don't really watch any of the mainstream news.
I'll only watch it when I'm at the gym. So you don't hear any sounds. You're just watching screens. Like there's CNN on one, Fox on another. And like I said, this morning when I was doing my cardio, 6 hours. So I was watching that news for a long time. This is where we get down to the rabbit hole of what we're going to end up talking about. But they were dissecting the Oliver Anthony song. They're like saying it's a conservative thing it's like their conservative anthem. And I was like, I guess I can see it. But then when the guy was picking it apart, he goes, it was awful, the Epstein references and this type of stuff. I was like, shouldn't everybody be upset by that? Like, shouldn't just be mad, not at the song or the lyric, but be
that
mad
nothing's
that
been done.
Yeah, like, and it's just gone away. And like, I mean, then they played a documentary after that, which was interesting, which was about the 90s riots. It was really just talking about the 90s. Look, I did not know this, and this is going to get into what I wanted to share, but this is their language, not mine. It's called Rooftop Koreans, And it was about these Koreans during these riots that eventually wanted to protect their store from rioters coming in. And this is the most iconic photo I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yep, cigarette in the mouth.
Just cigarette in the mouth, shotgun that is not even like it's not flipped up. He's still got the two shells. He got his thumb over the two shells. This guy with a rifle and just a cig. It looks like it's fucking backwards to be 100%.
The other guy has a
honest with
cig
you.
in his mouth.
I know that guy has a cig in
The
his
guy
mouth.
just chilled.
The most famous photo of all is this one right here. David Joe is his name. And there's a video of it. You can watch him where he just takes out a gun and just starts firing rounds at rioters that are coming over. And you got to think, I mean, these people work their ass off. They own a store, and all these rioters are coming in, and just in the heat of the moment, people want to steal shit. Doesn't matter what race you are or anything like that. They just want to steal shit. Now, I understand the bigger context. The other side of this is that this was after the Rodney King beating.
The
So a
Rodney
lot of
King
people were
beating.
upset.
So the Rodney King beating was on video. So that one was like the really upset one. But right around the same time, there was Letitia James.
Yeah, who was
And it was
killed
a
in that.
50-year-old black girl killed by a Korean person in
Yeah.
a shop saying she was stealing when she wasn't.
So they got there's a lot of controversy that between the African American community and Korean community, shop owners especially, that there's been this.
So that's why they
violence
say
back
they
and
were
forth.
targeted more. That's why they got in there. Because at the same time, these other Koreans had nothing to do with that one Korean
No,
that did that.
not at all. But
But
I can't
they were
put this on a
defending.
shirt. I can't put this on a shirt without people being upset that I like, oh, you support this side or you support, like, everyone's going to pull out their own bias. To me, it's just an iconic fucking photo. I mean, the dude's got a fanny pack on and he's got a pistol in his hand. That's so badass. Look, I don't even care about the history or the context of this situation. I'm just saying this is iconic as shit, dude. Anybody would put this up there, and people have already memed it. They literally have things on here saying "Know your meme" or something like that. And to me, it's just a good photo. Like,
So you know what you do to cover all of your bases is out of the gun have it be like one of those fake guns where like a flag pops out, and then just have it say something on there like just have it okay, that sign you see people put on their houses. They're like, in this house we believe in the science, Black Lives Matter, and it says just that huge long list of all that stuff.
But I went into a rabbit hole on that because I was looking at I wanted to invite the people, whoever those guys were. They're obviously still alive. It was in the 90s, not that long ago, almost 30. Actually, it's almost 30 years. That is a while. But not only one person gave their name. That was David Joe, the guy with the pistol that was out. Everyone else, like, you see him in the interview. Sir, would you like to talk to you? I don't want to interview. You buy something or go. That's literally all they wanted. They didn't want any attention. They weren't doing it for attention. They were just doing, and that's like the whole, like, even with the Oliver Anthony, where they were saying, CNN was saying about him being like conservative, and it was a conservative anthem and everything, was talking about like just people standing up for that. Not, it wasn't even, if you really look at that song, it's more about focusing on the severe issues in our government and systematic problems, not only that are affecting certain races, but it was just talking about an overall thing that does not care about its people, does not benefit people for putting in work or working hard or doing all this. And I mean, in some cases, that's very, very true. And I mean, I agree with a lot of what that song had to say. And I mean, I don't think it's necessarily conservative. I think it was more of an American people song a little bit there. I mean, sorry, the left doesn't have really an anthem out there about certain things, but I mean,
That's the thing. He's like, this kind of is a leftist anthem. They just can't see the forest through the trees. That's frustrating. Like I had that song because like we talked about it on our show too. So like I was listening to it kind of on repeat for a little bit, just to really let the lyrics and stuff marinate, so I could really like try to get as much like I guess perspective and thought like on the song, hearing it over and over again. And I'm walking around my shop, and like I know everyone in my shop. I know all their struggles. I know all of these workers. You know what I mean? Like they're just everyday workers, like the ones he's singing about. And looking around, it was like kind of emotional because it's just like he's just nailing it. All these people in here are working their asses off, and none of them are rich. Everyone's having their own little troubles in their own lives and doing their own thing, and they're just left out in the lurch.
Well, it shows like the importance of news right now, the fact that they have nothing to fucking talk about.
Yeah.
even despite all the things that they, like I said, the Maui stuff, any of that type of stuff, they could be going over and over and dissecting with a fine tooth comb and really trying to solve some things and getting polling from people or doing whatever, that they're just trying to tear apart a song.
I know, isn't that crazy?
And it's like they
It's
do
so
that with Rogan too, where they just tear apart things Rogan says. I'm like, guys, you literally could do that's like if anybody, everyone believes, I think the news is bullshit. I think everyone knows that stereotype, but it's only bullshit if it doesn't agree with it. They did one thing that was of relevance, which was that damn Korean roofers thing. To me, that was the only thing that fucking mattered. I
like
was
this
like,
is fucking interesting.
yeah, to me, it was fascinating. They had, because like I said, I'm interested in the history side of things, but let me just show you what the trending things. And I literally just typed in culture news. That's all I did. Culture news. And
It's just all Oliver Anthony.
no, you go to NBC. This is NBC. Is it showing up on your screen?
Yep.
Meet the Taylor Swift fan who performed the entire Eras tour live on her TikTok page. David Akira's Zara Larson and how satirical jokes about celebrities can go awry on TikTok.
Aw, those
Then
poor
an
celebrities.
influencer, a TikTok star falls 80 foot off a Hawaii club. That's actually interesting.
Holy
Um,
shit! What was she doing?
that's a guy. Um, but it
Oh,
says
is that
Mount.
a guy?
Yeah, that is a guy. Caleb Coffey.
Oh, I didn't see the name. I just saw the face.
This is but look, there's TikTok trend girl dinner faces backlash over concerns of disordered eatings, which is literally just the TikTok trend is this. People put up like a small meal of like maybe it's like a block of cheese and a wine and saying girl dinner. And it became a trend where now people are now worried that this is going to create disordered eating where people think this is what they got to do or this is something that they, and I'm like, you're taking it way too fucking far. When someone is literally scooping ice and putting it on a plate and saying this is a girl dinner, it's a joke. I don't know. You
Like the
need
whole
some
Tide
help.
Pod thing. Like the whole Tide Pod thing. Let's be honest. There's probably only like 4 people that ate them, but everyone was pretending that they're eating them, and everyone lost their fucking mind.
It was pretty delicious, to be honest.
But another thing, so one more thing I'll say about the Oliver Anthony song is one thing I really appreciate about it too is the fact that like authentic country is like the number one song right now. And not the bullshit that's getting pushed out of Nashville. And like for me, like the song itself, like because I listen to a lot of Appalachian country and stuff like that. So like I hear songs like this all the time. So where this one wasn't necessarily nothing new or like revolutionary to me. But it's nice to see the real country come out, and I'm hoping that this will pave the way for more authentic artists like this, and Nashville will stop their chicanery with the bullshit pop country with snap tracks.
I'm probably not going to be able to find what I found earlier that I thought it was hilarious. It was a clip, but it was two hosts of a show and they were talking about certain situations and what are the problem with these situations. And I was like, one person was like, caller calls in and goes, my husband was driving without shoes on. And I, spoke up and said, you should be driving with shoes on. I mean, what should I do in this situation? Should I confront him? And they just went into dissecting this whole thing about being like, yeah, I mean, it's not right to drive without shoes, but why would you care if he was wearing? And I'm just like, this is what people are doing with their free time. I was like, who is watching this shit? I was like, there's serious stuff. Like you have a prime time slot or whatever, but you're going to be answering questions. Like we've had 6 potluck dinners in our neighborhood and we have one every month. And it's now this one couple's turn to host it at their house since we all change houses every single time. And we're wondering how we should address that. We should have a potluck dinner at their house. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, yes, because that's what
Just
we need to be.
call him up and ask him. That would
Do you
be
mind
nice,
if we
Joe.
have potluck or not? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Hey,
your turn to
potluck's next
host.
month. Yeah, it's your turn to host. You gonna do it, or do we need to make arrangements for someone else? Why do we
God.
need to dissect this? Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like even with my town, for instance, there's a giant controversy going on right now. And I want to go to one of these town meetings because I really want to know just what is going on that people are complaining and bitching about. My town has gone from a resort beach town that was kind of like free a little bit, but now it's become too commercial. My town's trended over multiple things. One was an incident where a cop tasered a kid, and it became like a big race kind of issue type deal. And then someone had clipped up that it was another video from years ago where a cop had tasered somebody in like a certain similar situation. And they were saying this was all in one day. And then everyone that lived here was like, no, these were years and years apart. And they're not even at the same time. You could tell like the seasons look different in the back, but nobody was really paying attention to that. So my town is trying and rebranded, and they've gone too commercial. Like I was at the bar on the boardwalk, which is like right on the beach, yesterday, and I was just looking at, it's like dying down since summer's dying down, but they have everything painted different. Everything seems more resort and commercial. Like
Just
they're really trying to,
gentrified.
yeah, well, they're trying to go back to that family thing that they wanted. Like this is a vacation spot for family. I was like, no, it's fucking not. It never was in the first place. Just people didn't, there wasn't just so much bullshit and like gang violence and things of that sort. But this has always been a mixed mosh of people from Florida, kids going here on spring break, all this type of stuff. There's always beer, alcohol everywhere, cigarette butts, trash, all that type of stuff. And we've done our best to clean it up, but they really tried to market it. And now we have less people coming here this year. And it's been every year now is becoming less and less and less. And they're trying to get back to that family thing, but like car events and all that have all shrunken down. And I was like, it's the problem with the fact that you're trying to be something that this town never was in the first place.
Right.
And it's like I'm starting to see that kind of go everywhere now. And I think that's just going to push people into never wanting to really leave their homes or their towns anymore and just stay there when they can just, do other things. And I think it isolates us a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, it's and what sucks is when it comes to doing stuff like that too, it makes it more expensive. Like what's the prices and stuff out there?
Not too bad. I mean, everything's gone up. I just spent like $30 in groceries and got like 10 things. I was like, what the
I know,
fuck?
isn't that insane? I
Even
had to
tuna
some
went up. I was like, who the hell's getting cans of tuna?
I don't know. I guess but yeah,
I get
like
I get cans of tuna. That's what I'm saying. It's usually a buck. Nobody ever gets it, so I never have to worry about it ever being out of stock. It's always a simple eat, good protein, very clean eating. But then now it's gone up to like $2 a can. I was like, Jesus. I was like, hang on a second. Like, if you're getting a 12 pack of them, you're spending like $24 on tuna, and before it was $12. I'm like, hang on a second. Nobody else is eating this unless they're feeding it to their cat.
meow. Um yeah, no, like so like my wife usually does like the shopping. And she was gone for the 5 weeks, so I had to do the shopping and like holy shit, groceries are really expensive. And like I it was amazing to me that how fast like $250 could go on groceries for like how much you end up getting for that. It's like what the hell?
Yeah, why did everything go up a little bit?
Like the inflation, there was those supply chain crisis issues, and then I also feel like whenever like people start talking about inflation, companies will use it as an excuse to just raise prices and then just go, oh, it's this economy, it's inflation. And just yeah, just mostly supply and demand. People had more money, they demand more things, and supply is still a finite number, so got to raise prices.
Yeah, but you can't raising they spend $26 billion a year for NASA. What what do they need money for when they can just take some funding out of NASA? 1 billion of that would keep all the prices the same if you funnel that back into the economy.
Well, maybe you're talking about like subsidizing the prices.
Just stop giving NASA so much fucking money for shit that they're not explaining to me what they're doing. Like, why did they come out and talk about UAPs after they've denied it for so fucking long? Where I'm just like, excuse me, are we living in a Dane Cook movie? Like, is this have some weird twist ending that's going to pay off and we get to see somebody's tits or something? I don't understand what the problem here is.
Like, what's the end game here?
And when I mean tits, I
Yeah, that
mean
is
Dane
pretty
Cook's
one.
tits. That's all I'm saying.
Dane Cook's tits. You want to see Dane Cook tits? Um, yeah, that's pretty crazy, isn't it? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're just like, yeah, aliens are real, guys. By the way,
And no, I don't think because, and the funny thing is, the academic community and people that I know that study exoplanets that would really find that super interesting did have not said anything about it, which makes me definitely believe that it's bullshit.
yeah, it's interesting because like the guys, they when they said all this stuff, it was under oath, and so if they're lying, the Pentagon would have to come out and say that they're lying, and then they'd have to prove that they're lying, which
They
would
just
mean that
did you
their
watch the
stuff would have
video,
to like
the actual
the
hearing?
hearing. No, I didn't.
He literally kept saying, I can't disclose that here. I can't disclose that here. I can't disclose it here. I was like, why don't you just, why can't you disclose it? Are you scared for your
Oh, the
safety?
Pentagon guy or the guy who was the whistleblower?
Yeah, the whistleblower. I was like, are you scared for your safety? If you're scared for your safety, then why don't you give the information to someone who has nothing to lose? We don't have anybody that has nothing to lose. That's the thing. There's not a person like me that if I found the JFK shit, I would release the hell out of it. Like, fuck it. If they get me, they get me, whatever. But if my family's fucked anyway, it doesn't matter. And so they don't have anybody like that. But pick a homeless person off the street and be like, hey, that's why New York's getting rid of them. I'm telling you.
All the conspiracies. Yeah, the homeless people are expendable.
Get rid of the expendable people.
Just lock them up.
Someone's going to give that person information that they're going to blow the whistle on, and we'll all be out of the job.
Yeah, homeless people as fall guys. That's actually not a bad idea. Can we all just get a homeless person to be our fall guy?
That's what I'm saying. They don't mind. Just give them some booze. That's all they want anyway. We have a bunch of them living behind the gym that I work at, and I didn't know they were back. Then I went back out there to hit my vape, and then I literally was just like hitting my vape, and I was throwing something in the trash, and there was a person sleeping behind the trash can, and when it made the bang in the trash can thing, and like I said, it's like 4:00 in the morning, so it's pitch black. All I heard is, "Arr!" I was like, "Oh my god,
Jesus
oh my
Christ.
god." Freaked out, but I feel bad. I try and bring them some things like a drink or something if they need it. One time they slept out there in the rain, and I felt so bad. I brought them some towels. Thanks, man.
When I was in Portland, we were at one of the it's pretty cool. There's a ton of dive bars, and I walked behind one of the bars to go like we were leaving, and then I had to piss, and so I went behind the bar to go find a dumpster or something. When I walked back there was 8 homeless people in tents, and I was like, oh Jesus, there's all over. And so I was just like, I was all drunk. I was like, hey guys, and they're like, oh hey, and I was like, where's the piss spot where I'm not gonna get in trouble? And they were like, oh, it's over there. I was like, thanks, man. And I used their bathroom. It was nice.
It's like, guys, I'll make you a deal. If you're staying out back here, I'm gonna come out here with a camera, and we're just gonna do bum fights. Okay, we're gonna restart that trend back up.
There you go. And then end up being on Dr. Phil.
Yeah,
you ever
dress up
seen
like him. Yeah.
Dress up like him. That's so damn funny. What a troll.
I found the video, so I want to show you this.
Okay.
This is what they call now. It is like a talk show thing in the morning. Is this full screen on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's the damn volume? Hello?
Hello. I don't hear it, but their facial expressions are hilarious.
The thermostat was adjusted
Do you
significantly.
hear it now?
I asked my husband, and he said
Do you
it
hear it?
wasn't me.
Yeah, I do.
Should I confront my friends about changing the temperature in our house?
Okay. First of all, I keep my home very warm.
How hot?
Hot.
Like, what's the temperature?
Everybody's sweating.
75?
Yeah, at least.
That your
Social
that right
dilemmas.
there?
Okay.
I don't mind that during the day. I
Oh
do
my
have to
God, this
say,
is-
At
people
night,
watch
I've been
this.
in an experience
It gets
Yes.
worse.
in the winter
Yeah.
when I've been staying at a friend's house, and it was so hot that really hot. Like,
What'd you do? Change
How
the.
hot?
I
did you
Tell me.
opened the window,
Open the window.
Oh
because
my
I was
God.
and not comfortable, having bad dreams.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard. When you're
we're living in
But I
idiocracy,
have a
man.
question. So, do you say to somebody, or do you just adjust it back?
You just adjust it.
I
Yeah,
think
a
so, too.
thermostat
Passive
war.
aggressive.
But
By the way,
here's the issue: is that
thermostat
they're
wars
there's
happen
someone's
in
typing
every
this question
house
in for
every
them to
day.
read and
Plus,
respond
if your
to.
friend is
I
got
know.
the moxie to
It's
touch
either
your
fake or
thermostat,
a
you
real
know that
person
that's
that's
how she
complaining about
is.
this. And I'm like, you
Yeah,
have
you
anxiety
know
at
that.
that point if you don't
Yeah,
want to talk
that's
to your
how-
friends.
Maybe
Hey, why'd
she
you touch my
didn't sleep well, and
thermostat?
you want your friends to sleep well in your own home.
Maybe just say, did you sleep well? Was it too hot?
Yeah.
Maybe do it like that.
And look, they're
That's
giving advice of like a
passive-aggressive, too.
passive aggressive way. She even said it. She said it's a passive aggressive way of like, was it too hot last night? Maybe I should fix the thermostat, like as a way to be like slowly backtrack. I'm like, just like, bro. And then we're commentating on it too, which is the worst part. But it's just, it pisses me off.
Was it
We
too
love
hot?
passive
Was it too
aggressive.
This could be a
hot?
podcast in
All right,
itself.
what's the next one?
Okay, here it is. My daughter
Rafi,
just found out
that's
she's
just-
not going to be in the same middle school class as her best friend,
Oh.
and she's upset. Her friend's mom is adamant that we ask the school to put them together, but I actually think it's good that we separate them. What should we do? separate them.
Leave it alone. But what do you do if the
Just let it
I
lie.
think you just have to let some of those things go. But first of all, most schools, as a former teacher, are not going to be like, oh, you want your daughters in the same class?
You got it.
Sure, that's the only thing we have going on this week. You want kids to face disappointment.
Can't believe we're watching this right
every
now.
little issue.
Absolutely.
And they
And then we're getting sucked in. We haven't even commented on it.
I
We're
know.
just
I know.
watching
That's
it.
the shit
And do you
part,
think you
dude.
say to the mom,
It got me. It got me. It's me. I'm just baffled by it because
Dude, yeah, it's
there's
just
another
nothing.
thing
It's
where they were
just
talking.
noise.
They were talking about flavors of ice cream, and they were like, "There's a honey bacon cinnamon chip chocolate fudge," and it's when I mean chips, like food chips, like baked, like Lay's potato chips mixed with
Ugh.
chocolate, and I'm like, "Oh God, are we just done as people? Is that it?"
We
Is
were
that it?
promised flying
Where are
cars
we
and
at?
we got chip ice
Look,
cream.
Sometimes you're not, when they say that you can get anything on the menu, they literally don't mean everything on the menu. Don't put it together. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, have you ever been to a restaurant and they're like, here's our menu, and you just go, I don't see that you have this on there, but I would like to get this. And the person goes, okay, we'll ask the chef if they can go make that. And then someone has to run to the fucking store and grab whatever that supply thing is because you wanted a clam chowder when you're at a pizza restaurant. If you're going to a pizza restaurant, what are you
Get
getting?
fucking pizza.
Exactly. It's not hard. But then the people get upset by it. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Like
That pisses
between
me off
that-
the most because I'm like, there's real issues going. There's a guy in a mine right now working for $3.50 an hour. Maybe. And we're talking about like either flavors of ice cream or if my daughter's going to have her friend in her class in school.
The green energy push that everyone's doing right now, the solar panels, the cobalt, and the special minerals that are mined for those are mined by children with tin cups in Africa. And this is what we're talking about. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how the whole solar panel industry is completely fucked. None of it's made here. We are getting some plants to start making this stuff now, but like it's done with slave labor. Being powered, and then when they're being manufactured, being powered by coal.
And look, I'm not a Trumper at all. Like I said, I don't believe in the whole president thing. I don't believe in politics. I don't even vote. But the clearest thing that I've heard been said by a politician in the past couple of years was by a billionaire on a fucking golf course. And it was when they asked Donald Trump about the Russia-Ukraine thing, and the guy said, who are you going for? And he just says, I want people to stop dying. That's not even a controversial take, but the fact that he said it becomes controversial.
Yeah.
And then it looks
and
like
he
I'm
says I could
supporting
stop it, and he goes, I could stop it in 24 hours, and everyone laughs, but like he is kind of right.
I'd just stop him on the I just want people to stop dying part. I think nobody wants people to be suffering or dying right now, but the smartest thing we're having being said is by billionaires on a fucking golf course or basketball players that are writing shit on the side of their head.
What was that?
The guy put on the side of his head, one of the basketball players, Maui wasn't an accident.
Oh, no shit.
That's all. He was on TV playing with Maui and Sharpie on the side of his head. They had to pull him off to the side and bench him.
No shit.
So it's like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why we have celebrities that speak out on vaccines on both sides of it, some that support and some that are against. It's like, is that the only way we're accepting these messages now, or from people that we like or people that we're fans of? Actors should just be paid to be actors. Be an actor, play the movies. We don't need to hear you talking about politics.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? That is an interesting thing. Like, it's almost like the shut up and dribble statement about LeBron or whatever. But do people, when they're on a soapbox and they have influence like that, all of a sudden feel the responsibility to bring attention to issues? And
we're doing it too.
I mean, we're doing it too. Yeah. I mean, and it could be a good thing, but could also be a bad thing, and it could also just be noise. You know? So it's interesting, right? Like it's because it's like,
well, if you have an established path, and especially if the path is like doing croquet or being a NASCAR driver or something like that, I don't think people really care so much for your politics. It's like the guy who sings in the band, like it's not the Grateful Dead.
I think a lot of it is too, is because like like when these people, they want to make more money, and if they have the right views that's accepted by society, it makes them a little bit safer to have them be and do endorse things and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but it's like Kid Rock shooting Bud Light cans.
And did you see the picture? I was just gonna say,
drinking a Bud Light can.
Yeah,
It's like to me, it's just like why do you need to make the homage because you think you're gonna catch on a trend or get fans? It's like whoever did that Bud Light commercial was a fucking idiot. It's just not. It wasn't a good commercial. It's not about the guy being controversial or doing that, but they were trying to hop on a movement to extend it to another thing, and it was just a bad sales pitch. It's like it's a beer. Just pitch it as a beer. Somebody drinks the beer. Doesn't matter who it is. Don't say anything.
Yeah, that was a marketing blunder.
But that happened back in the day too. They used to have the was it Bud Light or Budweiser, where they're like it was, I guess, right after 9/11, and they had from like Jersey, you could see the smoke coming from the background where the towers used to be, and it was a person drinking Budweiser, and it says from one American icon to another. We stand together or something like that. And people back then liked it, like just cried over
they tried again. They tried again after all that shit happened with Bud Light. They pulled out the Clydesdale. The very nice commercial after that happened was the Clydesdale running, and talking that whole thing like, this is America. We're in this together.
I thought they donated them to a glue factory.
They had the Clydesdale running in New York, and it was like, we're here to help remember with you. Like they tried to go back to the 9/11 thing. Like I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, they fucked up. They pulled out the Clydesdale. I'm waiting for the Budweiser frogs now. Budweiser. Yep. And yeah, no, they that was just a marketing blunder. They want to because when you build a company, you build a brand. And
you know what I want to see? I want to see a mermaid drinking scotch under the water, the ocean. Just a mermaid drinking scotch,
and it's staying in the glass.
Yeah,
like it's not like floating out. Don't make it make sense.
Just something where they can't talk. Just drinking scotch underwater, and then have Johnny Depp right at the ending. Just make it really controversial for the fucking
floating in the background.
Just really piss off the Depp and Amber Heard stuff.
That's funny.
I've been watching that series on Netflix. It's actually pretty interesting.
Is it?
Yeah. So I watched.
I'm glad that he got his like that all the rocks were unturned and it wasn't immediately just a Me Too cancel thing, even though it was in the beginning. He got exonerated a little bit.
Well, I'm a big documentary guy. But they turned into a documentary format. Now I watched all the court cases when it happened. I watched every single one that they had. I think I only missed one, but the documentary kind of sums up the best bits and kind of gives a breakdown, a more congruent rather than, because obviously Amber Heard's probably telling the truth and Johnny Depp is probably telling the truth. I don't think any of them are lying, but I think they all have there's a bad relationship in general. I don't think anybody's really right in this whole thing. I think they're kind of both like, hey, let's just agree to separate ways here. Yeah. But it showed something that was interesting, which was the people that started up YouTube channels and would commentate on the trial and how their numbers just drastically increased. Their subscriber count went from like 100 to like 1 million within this, however long this trial thing lasted, which I thought was just fascinating. That I didn't really pay attention to it. The court case stuff came out, but a lot of those there was a time period it wasn't this year, it was last year. I think this was all going on, but there was like so many giant court cases that were being live broadcasted that were major events. The George Floyd one, then there was Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, then there was the Jussie Smollett trial, and at that time Ghislaine was happening, but it wasn't broadcasted. But there was like I think there was 2 more as well too that were like major focal points where everyone, as soon as they got off work, would go home and watch this. It was all over every single news station.
The Kevin McCarthy House speakership voting that was going on at that time, I think, if I'm getting my chronological time frames right.
And I did not rank them on least importance or anything like that. I didn't rank them like that. I was just saying these are the trials that were going on. George Floyd one was a very important one. Johnny Depp one was, as I seemed like, equally as important to a lot of people because this was kind of more of a gender issue.
Pop culture. Yeah. It got mired into the whole political thing too, even though it was just 2 rich idiots who thought they fell in love and they just had the most toxic relationship known to man. Like, like it was insane. Like when you look at the videos and you hear the things that were happening, like pooping in beds and fingers damn near getting chopped off and stuff. Like, Just sounds like a normal like because they're rich, it made it that big, but like those things happen like in your local trailer park all the time.
Yeah.
and it gets no media coverage. It's funny how we just have worthy and unworthy victims.
Do you think you can predict what the culture trend is going to be?
So we kind of did this on the show. We were talking that we think the like what's going to happen is that it's going to become a little bit more like apathetic. I think there's going to be less outrage. I think people are running out of gas. I think after the Bud Light thing, a lot of companies are going to stop grifting on different things like the LGBTQ movement and BLM, which honestly, in my opinion, are hurting those movements more than helping them by trying to force it on everyone. Because some people are just like, nah, just live and let live, do your own thing, just don't force it on me. And there's a lot of people in the country like this. And all of these different companies were trying to grift off of that movement to make themselves a quick buck. Like, oh, we support this. So what does that even mean? You support it? They're just saying they support it.
It was successful before. The number of people that companies that changed their picture to a LGBTQ rainbow flag picture or something like that, saying we in support.
But when they were international, they wouldn't change it in places like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they wouldn't replace it in China either. That's why I like Chick-fil-A so much. It's not that I agree with Chick-fil-A's values. I have family members that are gay. My grandmom's a lesbian. But the fact that they're not going to do it just for the marketing aspect, they're like, this is what we believe and stick to it. That's all you got to ask from people. I'd rather know where people stand than where people don't. You know what I mean? If they're just not middle liners, but if they fake do things in front of you because it gets the clout.
And I think that people are starting to realize that. And I think that it's not as advantageous for a company to make these bold claims anymore. And I think that that's going to help temper it down because now the companies are going to see they'll lose money instead of make money off of a grift. So they're not going to do that as much. So I think that that whole culture war aspect of it being like corporate sponsored will help bring the temperature down. And yeah, I think that that the whole just culture war stuff, I think we're like on an easement of it not just being as much of an issue. People are just kind of tired of it. Everyone's tired of walking on eggshells, being afraid that they're going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. Or
well, you can't go into Chipotle and have a person with pink hair who's a vegan get ready to make your burrito, and then they're just suggesting that you should try a vegan option when you say I want the chicken, and they're like, why don't you try a vegan option? It's like, I want the chicken, I'm going to make you a vegan option. You're like, make the fucking chicken or I'm going to go back there. Like it's, it's something like
myself.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like that stuff I just think that we're seeing like, because now like you're seeing the right, now they're propagating that culture war of like trying to fight this. And like you saw DeSantis, who's the governor of Florida, who fucking rocked it when he was running for governor and he won again. Because he had some okay policies and stuff like that, like the whole COVID thing. He was one of the first governors to flip it the other way. And, and like he was prepping himself up to be like the next president, like for the Republican Party or whatever, the candidate. And then he leaned so far into the culture wars to where he was using the government the same way you would say that liberals are, to expand the power of the state to come after people based on their own personal beliefs. Like when he said he was going to start investigating Bud Light because the pension companies in Florida invest in InBev. Well, InBev stock prices went down because of their marketing blunder. And now DeSantis is like, well, we're going to investigate this because this isn't fair that this company is trying to push this woke stuff and it's hurting our people here, like our firemen and our police officers and our teachers. It's hurting their pensions because this company went woke. And it's like, are you fucking serious? You're going to go after a private company with the government and you're supposed to be the conservative and the party of less government? And just, yeah, like he keeps, or like when he went after Disney, like through just because of through some sort of vendetta, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So now you've seen his numbers dwindle because he's on the inverse of the whole culture war. And I think just everyone's just tired of it.
I mean, to be honest, I don't defend Disney over anything, despite whatever, I don't care about what they're doing for the LGBTQ movement. It's not saying it's not important, whatever it is. I don't agree with DeSantis at all, but Disney's just a horrible fucking company. And I don't believe a single thing that they're doing is in the actual belief that they're wanting to help.
Oh, absolutely not. It's just to make money.
Yeah.
Like just like Bud
They have a
Light tried to
Nazi
do.
past. There's Werner von Braun who designed our space program, and there's photos of him and Walt Disney shaking hands and like
Mhm.
constant photos and breakfasts and lunches. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
dude,
Disney
that
was like
company is like,
notoriously anti-Semitic.
yeah. So it's like I just don't believe a single fucking thing that they say.
Yeah, it was all a grift just to make money.
It's like Chuck E. Cheese. They have a rat as their mascot, and you love it. You love
You
it.
love it that there's a giant rat running around a pizza place.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Everyone's like, yeah, cardboard pizza and rats.
The cardboard pizza
But
is
hey,
pretty good though.
yeah, and they got beer.
They got beer now?
They've always had beer.
I didn't know that. I've never
I
been. I
think.
guess the last time I went there was when I was 13 years old. So
Oh yeah, I was stealing beers. No, I'm just kidding. Just drinking all like the
to be
half
honest,
cents.
there's not really a way you can fuck up pizza, even if you burn the shit out of it. I've
still
never
tastes
really
good.
had a bad pizza. There's pizza I think I prefer, but even when I watch Dave Portnoy do his pizza reviews and he'll do something like 2.3 terrible pizza, I was like, bro, I've never really had a super shitty pizza before. It's basically impossible as long as you put cheese,
You
tomato
know,
sauce, and then
the
crust.
real Italian pizzas aren't that great.
I don't like them when they're paper thin.
Yeah, like in like a real Italian pizza, it's like what they do the sauce on top and the cheese under. Like I'm not a big
Are you
fan of
talking
that
about the
pizza.
deep dish thing?
Oh, so that's another thing, right?
That's a
Because deep
Detroit
dish,
thing, isn't it?
Detroit style deep dish is it goes sauce
It's
then
more like a
cheese.
lasagna.
It's thick. Yeah, it's good as shit. But then there's also another style of deep dish, and I think it's Chicago style, where they do the sauce on top of the cheese. Or maybe I have them reversed. But I know Jets. You ever had Jets pizza? Do you guys
No.
have it out there? Oh, you're missing out on that then, man. I'm sorry. I really, really apologize because that is some damn fucking good pizza.
We have Wawa. It's fine.
I'll I'll ship some out to you.
You
Just
know
do
what Wawa
express.
is?
No.
It's like the best thing on the East Coast to get up. Anything really. It's a gas station, but it's like subs. They have Hoagie Fest, $4.99 for any large subs, dude. Bro, tear those up at 2 o'clock in the morning after you've hit the bar all night.
Okay. I think I've heard of Wawa. I might have been in one when I was on the East Coast because I went out to Maryland for a wedding, but it's nothing sticking in my head where it's like, God, I need to get some fucking Wawa.
What's the pizza they serve in a pan?
The pan style or whatever, like the Pizza Hut pizza.
No, there's like an actual like they serve it like it looks like in a tray of lasagna basically, but it's pizza.
Yeah, that's a deep dish. But I think so. Like the Detroit style deep dish here, it's like a square.
To be honest, I'm lactose intolerant.
So you probably love pizza, huh?
I
But
gotta
it
pop
doesn't
a
love
couple
you.
pills before I get
Yeah,
home.
so you love pizza, but it doesn't love you.
Cost
Yeah,
of
no.
doing business, my friend.
Yeah, there's some good pizza out here. We're gonna have to one of these days, Robbie. We're gonna have to make a trip to what I either come out there or you come out here and we burn the town down.
I don't know because those. Did you not see the Korean roofers I pulled up earlier? We try and burn the town down. I'm not getting shot. I'm not getting shot. It'd probably be me traveling out there. I'm gonna do some traveling at some point. I gotta definitely go to Dallas for the 60th. They're also doing one in Philly for the 60th anniversary of JFK. So that's like really close by. Not Philly, Pittsburgh. So that's like a couple hours away from me. So that's not too far of a hike. And it's gonna be important, even if I'm not gonna like just people there that don't have email or have contact information I could possibly get. I think it's important to do that. But I don't know. I got plans, man. Got to start doing some things a little bit too. Maybe take the podcast on the road, buy a little RV, and start interviewing homeless people. Tell me your life story. Well, I was marrying Kennedy's wife, and I'm like, excuse me, what did you just say?
Dude, yeah, you know what? That's homeless people are some of the funnest people to talk to, honestly. I was when we went because we just recently did this little 3-part series on our podcast about Kalamazoo, a city out here. There's this international company called Graphics Packaging, and they were seriously skirting their responsibilities as being like a decent neighbor in like the neighborhood, and like they were sodium hydroxide. They were just pumping it into the air because it was one of the chemicals they would use to do their paper mill. It's a paper mill, you know. And so we went out there because we were reading about it, and like people out there, like the asthma rate out there is astronomical.
As I
People
hit my vape.
yeah, people are getting sick. It's a super fund site, I think it's called, where
Yep,
it's like,
Superfund.
yeah, where
That's
the
where
government is like,
they used to have industrial stuff there. That's all
yeah,
California is a Superfund site.
yeah. All of Kalamazoo essentially is too. But right now, there's finally some lawsuits and things are happening, and the company is finally kind of admitting their mistake. Well, that burp.
What was that? What
It
is
was a
that from? The
coffee.
coffee that you're drinking?
Yeah, that was a coffee
You
burp.
get
It was
acid
so
reflux
gross.
from that?
Sometimes.
If you go on a date, you don't recommend getting coffee, do you? Because that would be terrible on a first date with somebody. Did you just vomit?
Yeah, was that? You know, like, and then you're like, I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh God.
Like just coffee and soft boiled eggs.
It was like I think it was when I was in high school. That was like the go-to was to go to Starbucks. And I'm a very fit conscious guy, health conscious, and I'm a fit person in general. Um, and I would always get these like every time after school, my senior year, would always either go to Chick-fil-A, get milkshakes, and get a number 3 meal. It's like my staple food to get. I actually had fast food for the first time in 10 years. No, first time in 7 years, maybe. Whenever I graduated high school was the last time I had it. So I had my first fast food the last weekend, the weekend before. Bro, I don't know what it was. It was a number 3 like I got before, spicy chicken meal from Chick-fil-A. But I just did no bun and just had the patty. I ate that, dude. I went to the bathroom like crazy afterwards. And then I literally had every time I eat like something junk food wise, like if it's pizza, like what I would call a classic meal for me is a can of tuna, a salad, and then maybe some cereal as like my guilty little pleasure. But that's like clean eating for a lot of people. Usually people eat fast food. To me, that's just normal eating. So then when I have like pizza or something like that, the next day I'm shredded like more than I've ever been in my entire life. And I can lift way more than I could ever lift before.
It's just a bunch of dry energy. To where like if you're burning it, that's great. The problem is people eat that stuff, but then they don't work out and burn all of that carb off. And then they just sit there and they just blow up.
Because life is now set for a sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like when I used to go to Starbucks, like back to the original point, like how I drew myself back in. But I would always get a venti Java chip. If you know what that is, they basically put a whole bag of fucking Hershey chips in that motherfucker, and then they grind it up, and then that's what you drink. And then I looked at the calorie content on it. It's 1,000 calories in that drink alone for a venti. And I go, God, I was like, to have the high school metabolism again. My metabolism isn't bad, but there's no way in hell I'd be able to do that now without gaining a couple pounds.
It'd be like shit. Mac from It's Always Sunny when he was big, when he was all fat.
400 pounds after like a month.
Yeah, Oliver Anthony would start singing songs about you. Be careful.
I'm not stealing. I don't even know what a fudge round is.
I don't know either. But apparently they piss him off. It's like, he's not even mad about the people. He just fucking fudge rounds.
Those damn cookie peddlers that pop up at the doorstep.
Those goddamn little girls coming here. I'll kick them off the porch.
That's a racket, dude. That's a real racket.
Yeah, that is. That's free child labor. Tell me how that's legal.
It's one of those gray areas we just don't talk about.
Yeah, like the other children we use to mine precious metals for our phones.
I wonder if that's psychologically damaging to those kids. Imagine you're trying to sell as many candy bars or whatever you're trying to sell just so you're...
Get a badge?
No, just so you can go on to like space camp or something like that. That's always what they say, to go to like space camp. And I'm like, imagine if that kid doesn't get the money to it. Then a parent has to be like, I have to buy all my own kids bars so he can go to space camp. I was like, why don't you just pay for the ticket instead of spending $8,000 on fucking fudge rounds?
Right. Yeah, no, I was kind of a piece of shit as a kid. And we would go and I used to be a piece of shit.
Oh shit.
No.
I thought you said you ate pieces of shit.
No, we would go and buy like Chips Ahoy, like cookies, and we would put them into individual little Ziploc bags and then write like $2 on them, put like 4 in there. And we would go door to door to old people and sell them these cookies, saying that we made them at home.
That's not even a bad that's just smart.
we would make some money. We would do that. Make enough money to go up to the Wendy's and get Frosties and fries. That
That's
was
just
like
smart.
a little hustle. We would. How are we gonna make this money for these 2 Frosties and 2 large fries? Like, let's go
That's not-
sell some cookies.
I sold a bag of weed one time, and it was just oregano in a bag.
Ooh.
The bad part is someone smoked it. They're like, it
Yeah.
just burned my throat. I'm like, oh,
Oh, sorry, man. You weren't doing it right.
why was it so seedy?
Because right now times are tough, man. You know, my good guy got busted, so I had to go to my other guy.
The shit you do when you're a kid.
Yeah,
You
smoking
probably would still
oregano.
do today if you had the creativity for it, but everyone's too damn smart now.
Yeah. Well, now I got my kid. I'll go get him to go sell Chips Ahoy cookies, pretending that
That's
they're
what I'm saying,
homemade.
dude. You want to make a quick extra buck.
Yeah, get take real advantage of the innocence of a child.
No, just the cuteness factor that they have, and until they hit that lumpy teenager stage
Yeah.
where their body's trying to figure it out.
My son looks like a little punk ass now, man, because like he used to have long hair. Like we didn't cut it for like
You finally
3
cut it so he doesn't get kidnapped?
Yeah, so now we cut it. So now no one thinks he's a girl anymore. But now like because it's like shaved short, like when he looks at you and he has all these like his expressions that he's always had that were kind of like covered and boxed in by hair are just very apparent now. And he gives me some of these looks where it's like, you little motherfucker, you know? Like what are you
Want
doing?
to slap him a little bit,
Yeah, like
toss him around,
you're a little punk ass, man. Like,
put him through one of those walls that you got.
don't look at me like that. Yeah, yeah. I would never hit a kid, but I understand sometimes when I hear about things happening with children.
It's a good thing I'm not a parent. I don't want to hit other people's kids, but damn it, if my kid gave me some of the looks I've seen on videos of these parents where they're trying to talk to their kid and their kid like spits on them and throws them or throws something at them, I'm like, ooh. Remember all those stories my dad used to say when his dad used to throw him through a fucking wall and shit. Like I was just like, hey, you know what?
my dad was a
Sometimes
little rough
they
on
learn.
me. My dad was a little rough on me, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm not rough on him. But like sometimes he'll swing on me and like I'll go to stop him and like his arm will like hit like your hard bone like right here. And then he just like, ow, you hurt me. And I'm like, oh, you mean when I tried to stop you from hurting me?
That's a good passive aggressive way of getting your kid. Just like when they go and try and punch your hand, just turn it into a fist last minute. My dad did that to me when I wound up one time to punch his hand. He did it last minute, turned it into a knuckle thing. We all have bony ass knuckles, and his just completely wrecked my whole hand. And I was like, I started screaming.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've ever done. It's like whoa, you know, because they come out of nowhere sometimes. So it's just like whoa, you know, and then he hurts himself, and he's like, "You hurt me."
It's like when you see those videos of the dad that's carrying a TV and a kid comes up and sax taps him, just hits him right in the nuts.
Dude,
And I
my
was like,
kid will
bro.
fucking do that. My kid's brought me to my knees.
Yeah, at that point, I think it's fair game to just give your kid a good haymaker once.
Just throw him through a wall. Just pick him
Play
up and
rocket
chuck him.
ship, and when you toss him up in the air, just walk away. Whoops.
Whoops.
Did you fall, buddy?
No. Yeah. Oh, buddy, did you just fall? Oh, buddy, be careful. What are you doing?
Did you fall? And then grab the TV and just toss it on top of him.
Oh no.
Oh, that's
Nah.
horrible. We're going to hell.
Yeah, probably. And I'm gonna have CPS here. But no, it's not bad. He's a really cool kid. But like when I took him out, like when I had him with me experiencing all the stuff in like Oregon and stuff, like going up to the timber line where like the tree line is, where it stops, you know, and him looking around and going, whoa.
Yeah, this is where the government sets fires.
Yeah, this is where the James Webb
There'll be a
telescope
sky mall in 2 months.
Yeah, taking him kayaking. He caught his first fish. out in
Awesome.
Oregon. Yeah, his first fish, rainbow trout.
Ooh. Was he
Yeah.
excited by that? Was he
Yeah,
able to
he
get it
was-
off the hook?
I helped him with that part. I did not want to deal with a 3-year-old getting a barb stuck in his finger.
Good,
that
because I
would've
can't even do that yet.
just- get it off the hook.
I rarely fish. I'm pretty good at it, surprisingly. But I just don't have I wouldn't say it's patience for it. I just, when it comes to getting the fish off the hook, I'm like, fuck. I'm about to just cut the hook.
Just give it back to the fish. Like, here you go. You got a new earring.
Yeah, it's a new lip jewelry for you.
What's that Mitch Hedberg joke? He's like, I don't think I think what people like to do is make fish late for things, fisherman or whatever. When he's like, he said that like Jerry, where have you been? I got caught. Liar, show me the inside of your lip. Like, God, that's a bummer that he passed. Mitch Hedberg was funny as hell.
You can't just fish normally around here, though, because I mean, you can go out on a boat and go out into the actual sea. They just had the White Marlin tournament recently that they have every year. It's where Michael Jordan comes down and yeah, with his boat and just tries to bet people if he can catch more fish than they can. But like the top prize, I mean, even if you catch a large fish, it's whoever has the most weighing marlin or whatever it is at the end. I think someone caught like a bass that was like 200 and not a bass, a tuna that was 235 pounds or something like that. And someone ended up surpassing that record, so they don't get the grand prize, but they still get how much the fish is worth, and the fish was worth $5.2 million.
A 200-pound tuna is worth $5 million?
$5.2 million. The top one that won, they got a grand prize of like 500 million or something like that. Like I said, it's like a 7-day event of these people just fishing and doing all this. And people that think it starts off with like 800 boats and then it gets dwindled down when people start giving up and stuff like that. But if you catch a fish on day one and you're holding that first place spot, you don't know if by day 7 at the last minute someone could catch one.
So you have to like keep going just to be safe.
Yeah.
Holy shit. $5 million for a fish.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, even if you got like 5 guys on a boat and you win the grand prize of 500 million, everyone's still going home with a pretty decent chunk of change. You're probably never going to have to work if you do it right.
Yeah. All right. Well, then that settles that. I'm going to come out there. We're going to hop on some kayaks and try to catch
these people are on like
marlin.
billion-dollar boats that they're driving around on. Billionaires coming out here doing this shit.
So we'll get some scuba gear.
You just mug them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We'll be pirates.
You just
we'll
take
just
their
be
fish.
some pirates. Come up with scuba gear, Navy SEAL style, or just swim in circles under their boat, and then when they catch one and it gets close, right when it gets close, you take the fishing line, snap it, and hold on to it yourself, and then just drag it in.
Well, there was that video of the person that was fishing on the beach, and someone was going by and cutting their fishing lines.
What the fuck? Why would they do that?
Well, it was in part protecting the sharks, because they say that sharks need to be protected. And honestly, I'm like, I don't know. I've seen a shit ton of videos of people getting bit in the dick and losing like half their pelvic bone from a shark. So I'm like, you can just fuck those motherfuckers up if you want. But then also in part, they were bringing in sharks closer to the shore where people were swimming, which I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's counterintuitive, yeah. I'm trying to catch the sharks to get rid of them for you guys, and there's pouring chum on the beach. Well, we got to get them here first. Yeah, that's another nice thing about Michigan is we ain't got no sharks.
Surprisingly, but they actually had a map of the number of shark attacks that happened, because I'm getting into this controversy between protecting sharks and not protecting sharks, and someone had put up a map of the number of shark attacks. A lot of states like Florida were like in the red zone. Then there was some in Wisconsin that were red, and I was like, how the fuck did they get out there? And then someone put up a meme of a shark that's floating or swimming through the forest. I guess that's the myth that they're talking about.
Yeah, like those walking sharks, they're dangerous.
But Australia rebranded shark attacks to say dangerous encounters or negative encounters, which I'm like, you leave a negative review at a hotel you stayed at and there was shit on the sheets.
Ooh, shark bite, 1 star.
Fucking arm, yeah.
1 star, shark bite. Do not recommend.
Terrible Uber drive. Hey, you passed my house. I know. Well, where are you going then? Back to
I was
my
thinking
house.
about that the other day too, of how we're positioning ourselves in the world to where it's like the whole review thing is almost like a tit for tat thing. Like
my friend just had that with their Airbnb. They own let's say this is a story for you. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is kind of pretty funny. So I was at my buddy's house, who I was just hanging out with the other day. We were drinking, and which we usually do because he's a trainer at my gym. So we just like, we don't want to go out usually to the bar, which we did on this one. But for this, we're just staying at his house. His house is right next to another friend of ours, B&B. So she's like a stoner, rich, and just never checks any of her messages. So you'll message her and she'll message like at 1 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, damn, I needed that answer like 10 hours ago. So he goes, "You want to go check out our B&B?" I was like, "Yeah, I've never seen it before." So we go over there, nobody's there, and we go into the backyard, and it was what they had worked on together to build up this backyard with like a bonfire pit and a hammock and everything. I live at the beach, but I've never really been in a hammock. So I'm hammered like to shit. And I literally just hop in the hammock and I laid there for like an hour and I just sent her pictures of me in the hammock. And
I slept in my hammock last night. I shit you not.
it's comfy. Very
I sleep
comfy.
outside in the hammock on nice nights sometimes.
That
Yeah.
might be a gift for my birthday if anybody's looking to buy a gift for me. Because I live in a place with nothing but trees. I could easily set one of those suckers up.
Oh, dude, they're great. You
And-
get the one that's don't get like a fabric one, you know, or like a cloth one. Get the one that's made out of like the parachute.
Get one and
product.
light a fire under it.
There you go. I don't know
And
if that
rotate
would
me around every couple of hours.
just
tender.
cook me up. That's it. That's how
Like
I
a
want to
hot dog
go.
on one of those rotisseries.
That's how I want to go, burning in a hammock.
But I was sending her pictures of me in the hammock, and then like I said, she answers back like 10 hours later, and my buddy goes, "Hey, do you want to go check out the inside?" She never locks the door, and I was like, "Why not? You know, we're drinking. Like I said, we're at this point
little
there's
B&E, little B&E
no
's good for me.
boundaries." And we walked in the back door, and then I was like looking, I was like, "Wow, they really like she really did a really good job like making this B&B really nice. Had a tiki bar and everything inside, which was pretty cool." And then we walk in like because there's the master bedroom in the back where we walked in the back door. And he stops me and goes, "There's people staying here." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Look at all the luggage." He goes, "We need to go right now." And then we walked out, and I get a message from her like 6 hours later, and it's like, "Is this my B&B? Are you in my hammock?" And then it goes, "There's people staying there. I better not get in trouble for your bullshit." And I was like, "We figured it out. Don't worry about it. We don't worry about it."
The people are up in the room, like all the lights off. They're just scared as shit. Like there's someone in the house.
I think they were at the beach, but there was just like, yeah, there's people staying there. And to me, I just thought it was fucking hilarious because I was literally in that hammock for an hour, just like basically taking a snooze.
John, go down there and tell them they have to leave. I don't know who these people are. I heard Ocean City's rough.
Yeah, but someone had broken the locks on her B&B and did a bunch of things, and it was the people that were staying there broke a bunch of their plates and everything like that and left them a bad review, and on B&B literally screwed her over where she had to go and pay out of her pocket. Well, she tried to, but the appeal process is much like appeal process with YouTube in their videos. You send it away, and then if they deny it, you're kind of screwed. There's no reapplying or anything like that. So the B&B kind of screwed her over. So she had to go and pay for new plates. She took photos of everything of how they left it a mess. The people left her a 1 star. They will not change the 1 star. So now her whole B&B system thing is messed up. And she's been spending like a month now trying to get that fixed. And I'm like, that's just a bad process in general. You could literally do anything that you want and people could just fuck you just to fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, so because you ever heard of the app Turo? It's where you can like lease cars from people, like individuals, like you or I. You could just put your car on there, and someone could lease it to use it while they're on vacation or whatever. And so I used that app when I was out in Portland and got a Subaru Outback. Cool fucking car, actually. I might get one. But we got the Subaru Outback, and like we had to kind of go to this like seedy spot to get it, you know, and it took forever to get the car, and we get it. The car was great, and I was not necessarily rough on it, but I definitely took it on the beach. There's a spot in Washington where you can just drive right on the ocean, like on the beach. And I'm driving through all the sand, and I'm just seeing what this thing can do and stuff like that. And the whole thing got covered in sand, and there was sand all over inside the car. I go and return it, and I felt obligated to have to give them a 5-star because I didn't want them to try to fuck me and say I had to pay some sort of cleaning fee. So like I gave them a 5-star, and I was like, "Oh, great people. The pickup was flawless and easy, and the drop off was easy, and it's such an easy thing to do. These people are wonderful. They're so helpful." Like I don't know if it was because of that, but I didn't get charged for all the sand. Like there was a sandbox in that car, and they had to clean it, but they didn't say anything negative about me.
I would be like, despite everything, it was great, even though there were dead hookers in the back.
Yeah, they cleaned out all the blood stains, no questions.
Have you ever seen that with the Norm Macdonald where they're checking the back of the cars? There's a bunch of hookers in the back of the car.
No.
I'll pull this clip up. This is really Norm Macdonald is one of my favorite comedians. he has probably the best first episode of a podcast you will ever find.
Do you ever watch that show, Murder Mysteries with Mike Tyson's Murder Mysteries or whatever?
Oh yeah,
There's like an
yeah.
Adult Swim, Norm Macdonald. Yeah, he's a little pigeon.
Wow, is this really a 10-minute clip? I'm not playing 10 minutes, dude. There's no way. His first episode of his show is the movie's called Dirty Work.
Okay.
But his first episode of his show was Super Dave Osborne. If you know who Super Dave Osborne is off of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I don't think so.
Great. I mean, just epic. It's Adam Egget is another person that I was been trying to get on my show, but he doesn't really do a whole lot of interviews, especially after Norm passed, because they were going to start their thing back up after the pandemic. But this is the funniest clip you'll ever see. Is it sharing screen?
It says Robbie has started screen sharing, yeah, but it's
Always
not
takes
up
like
yet.
10
There
minutes.
it is.
That's the whore.
That's the whore that bit off my nose. I need to watch that movie. I've never seen Dirty Work.
God, Chris Farley's God, he was a gem.
Another one. Yeah, it sucks. We lose all the good ones. But yeah, do you disc golf, Robbie? You ever been
No,
disc
I
golfing?
don't disc golf. No, that sounds awful.
What? About to go disc golfing with the boys. It's gonna be a work retreat from the podcast after this.
Oh, you're about to disc golf?
Yeah, in a little bit. Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
You just said it sounded awful, and then you're like, "Yeah, it does sound fun."
Because I had to pull this up because I think this is important too. I don't even care if it gives me a copyright strike. It gives fuck. I don't need to monetize this video. Ready?
Absolutely. But alas, there will be a price. Your souls, of course. But there is one more thing. Whatever! Just pull us out, asswipe!
Damn it, that's not the clip. It was Chris Farley when he was yeah, it is Farley on ice, but it was the actual full clip of it where he was in the ice and
Like
they were-
ice skating? Oh.
No, they were just narrating. I think it's called Sparley on Ice. Well, this is gonna be fun to look up. He falls in the ice, and then they're just commentating or something on him being in the ice, and he's like, "Don't just sit there, you jackasses! Help me!"
God, he was so funny.
Fine, whatever. I'm a Chris Farley fan.
Yeah, me too. I like Chris Farley. Except I haven't seen Dirty Work. I'm gonna have to watch that one.
I feel like that a lot of his abuse as well too came from the fact that he did understand that they did just use his weight for a lot of the funny things. Like,
Mhm.
imagine your comedy just being based on your weight. Like
Yeah.
I think there's something about that. As much as society says they have evolved to not fat shame, there is something that is about the comedic fat guy that's like in every single movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's like I mean, it's an element to I think a lot of Chris Farley's comedy, but it just kind of
It's
sucks. to know
physical
that-
comedy, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
it's
his
like when
untimely demise.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, because
doesn't
if he
believe it,
wasn't
but Joe Rogan doesn't believe it, but they said that Kevin James' manager, when he was like, if you lose weight, you're going to lose roles. I'm like, well, there is a thing about that. Some people just like that. Even Norm
you get
Macdonald.
typecasted.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald even said it when he gained a lot of weight and he was doing a show, and everyone's like, yeah, you look fat, Norm. Like, you gained a lot of weight. I'm concerned about your health and everything like that. He goes, well, I did it for a role. And he's like, they're like, what do you mean role? And he goes, well, I just think that everyone needs a fat guy, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, like fat guy in a little coat. No. What else needs to be
Iconic.
said?
Iconic.
Iconic. Yeah.
Plus, would his falls be as funny if he was skinny?
Right. That maybe look at Kramer from Seinfeld.
Yeah, but Kramer has a different comedy style than Farley does.
Jittery. Just
Yeah, you can't have like with Farley where he goes on stage and he's like, yeah, and he's like flipping his hair, then he goes, kill Whitey, and screams it, and everyone's like, no, like, you know, like Tommy Boy would not be as hilarious if Chris Farley was skinny. Well, they
That's
would have
true,
just
yeah.
had David Spade do all the comedic parts, but David Spade was more of the serious kind of, I guess not comedy, but more nerdy awkwardness.
Yeah. And that makes you wonder too, like his binge drinking and his drug usage and stuff like that. Would his body have reacted so volatile to that to where he died if he was fit? his body might have been able to take it a little bit more.
I don't know, what he was eating was insane. He was eating like a full like 24-ounce steak with like 2 things of butter on top of it, like as just like not really a snack, but like that was his dinner. And then he would drown it with some alcohol and some things of that sort. You can't do that every single night. I mean, I'm surprised Jack Nicholson has lived as long as he has lived. He doesn't look good right now, but I mean, he's kept up. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's suffering from really anything. He just, besides like maybe some demons. Yeah, he eats like, have you seen his body?
No, I haven't.
He looks
Not in a
terrible,
while.
dude.
But we were actually up at the Timberline. That's where they filmed The Shining.
That movie. Good
Yeah.
God. How far would you go to make a serious and iconic film, even though you might have abused the shit out of your actors?
How far would I go? I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Timberline, I guess.
Have you seen when Kubrick was interviewed for that, and they showed scenes of like off scenes when the actress was complaining about how hard the scene was for her, and he was like, "Shut up and get over it." Like he was like really abusive
just
to
a
that
prick.
lady. Where it was like in The Exorcist, that girl had problems after that film was released and everything like that. Well, same thing with The Shining. The lady had to repeat the same time where she was swinging a hammer at Jack Nicholson's head or something like that while she was walking up steps. She filmed that, like, I think they taped it like 500 times or re-recorded it 500 times. So she had to keep doing this scene over and over and over again to try and get that real emotion for it. But she was like, it was just breaking down, and Kubrick would just be analytical with her. Like, you need to be a better actress. Don't blame me. You know, and it was
Holy
just
shit.
it was like when you hear Tom Cruise yelling at people on set.
Yeah. You need to do better. Yeah, I mean, but like if you're trying to, like, that's the crazy thing about movies and like art, you know, like this guy Kubrick had a vision. And if you want to be a part of that vision, you need to do it his way or the highway, I guess.
I guess. I mean, I guess that's how you make something iconic like he did, but I don't know. His gets lumped in conspiracy stuff too.
Yeah, with didn't they say Stanley Kubrick did the moon landing?
That's what they say. I don't believe
they
it, but I do think it's weird how he did. I messaged someone who did a biography about him. He was going to be a potential guest, but honestly, the dude just seemed like a prick. So I just kind of bailed on it. But I asked him, I go, was it true that Stanley Kubrick got access to the original NASA plans to do, like, you know, for his film, the Apollo 11 stuff? And he was like, trying to, like, I guess he was insinuating that I was saying that it was linked to filming the conspiracy for that type thing. And I was like, I'm not in the conspiracy part to it. I was just wondering, it's pretty fucking cool if you get access to the actual original plans to make a film. And he goes, yeah, he did. But there was no like fake moon landing stuff that came with it. I was like, I wasn't insinuating that. But I don't know, just the attitude. I get like if enough conspiracy people try and pull stuff out of that. But no, to me, it's just interesting as an actor, like people that like method actors that
And
really,
for him though, being a Stanley Kubrick biographer, he probably gets spam emails all fucking day long of like,
you should be lucky someone reaches out to you.
We know Stanley Kubrick did this, you son of a bitch, and it's not in his biography.
That's one thing about this show where it's like, at this point now, if there's something I find interesting and I go and reach out to someone and they really like are very like hesitant about doing stuff because of like some of that conspiracy stuff, where I just go, you should be lucky someone's reaching out to you. I was like, damn, dude, like an ADHD guy, main expert dude, recommended by a lot of other experts I've talked to as like the main guy. He sent him an email, hey, can you do my show? I sent him to months ago, and he responded, I don't do podcasts. Sorry, I'm retired, and I don't do podcasts. And I go, I saw you upload or do a show 8 days ago. So if you just don't want to do mine, then just tell me. And he goes, no, I do my own channel, and that's all I have time for. And I go, man, you would think if you're really trying to be beneficial and getting awareness out there about ADHD and really trying to understand them, you would be happy to do anything. That's what I judge a person by their character and that concept of things, but I get it. I mean, I really don't do podcasts either. That's why I've been hesitant to be on yours.
I know. We still need to make that happen though. Just the normal apolitical guy coming out and talking to us. So when I was out in Portland, Dan had his friend, this guy, Roger. He actually has a pretty successful podcast. He follows, he found a good niche. He follows the minor leagues that surround Detroit Tigers baseball. And like he'll get people retweeting his stuff, and he always has interviews and stuff like that. But so his father was a Cuban defector.
Damn.
Yeah. So they were talking about stuff like that, and how like just the idea of like the like Hispanics, and like how like Hispanics coming up from Mexico and Hispanics coming from Cuba like differ actually a lot, and like Puerto Ricans and like how there's a lot of like in Cubans there's a lot of racism in the Hispanic community against each other about different things, and
Like with Chinese people and other Asian ethnicities. Well, other Asian ethnicities, they all have like a hierarchy. Like Japan looks at them differently, and China looks at them differently, and everyone's kind of all like. I mean, we do that too with some white people.
yeah, and we all razz each other about Italians and Polish people and Irish. We all call each other like the slurs that go with it and stuff. Like
I
have
don't
some
really
friends-
use that language, but you know,
no, like me,
some
like
people do.
me and my Italian friends, like my good friends, my Italian friends, my Polish friends, we all use the 1800s slurs against each other, like when we're messing around, because they just sound so absurd.
They
I'm
get
not
like
gonna say about the
I
show,
mean,
but
technically, I'm like everybody all jammed up into one. If you check I'm Ashkenazi, which is Jewish. But then I don't go around saying like this is my ethnicity. Like I support. Like I had a buddy ask me a long time ago. He's Filipino, and he was like, "Do you think that your race should be your identity?" And I was like, "No, I get some people use it as their identity. Like I'm this percent this, but I never do it. I just kind of go by your name, what you were given with at birth, and consider that you being your human factor. But some people use it as their whole thing. Is like I'm this race, and this is why you should do this, and I'm." Fine if people do that, but to me that just doesn't define you.
yeah, when you get muddied down like kids like us, there's not really like a culture to attach to just because there's so many. I mean, I guess if I had to, like the race that I mostly like ascribe
Scottish.
to is probably Irish.
Damn, I was close.
Yeah, close, but not.
No
No,
cigar.
but yeah, like my last name's Walsh. My grandpa came from Ireland. It's like the closest connection I have to any sort of culture. Because my grandma on my mom's side was French Canadian. There's not even a culture for that.
That's just Canada. Canada's large, has a large French population. Their cereals literally have French on the like. There's a cinnamon toast crunch, and there's the French cinnamon toast crunch.
Yeah, and like so, I go to Canada like maybe once a year or whatever, because it's literally just I just drive down to Detroit. You take the tunnel and you get over there, and there's French on everything, like all the signs. It'll say like something in English, something in French.
They even add French to the vanilla, and then they put it in their coffee.
They did. How did they even get the French in there? But their French is different. It sounds like more guttural than like French in France.
I'm not getting into accents. I'll tell you that much.
No,
My accent's the worst.
yeah, you have that Midwest accent.
It's funny. I'm in Maryland, so it's like, where does that Maryland come from? But I hear it from my grandpa because he's from Baltimore. And whenever he's on the phone, he's like, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm on the phone with you right now. I'm like, did you add an N on to now? And he goes, what are you talking about? I'm like, and I catch myself sometimes doing it too. My buddy likes to make fun of me because he's from Virginia. So he'll hear me say something. He'll be like, oh, you going home? I was like, damn, I do say that too. And I talk, I start to notice it now.
The Michigan accent's a little bit more nasally, but we sound pretty Midwestern. But if you get up to the UP, it's the Upers. Yeah, we live up in the UP here.
I just want a nice Boston girl. That's all I want. Someone
With a
girl
Boston accent?
I love a fucking Boston accent, man. Going
Yeah,
over to the car.
dude. One that kind of knocks me on my ass, where it's just like, whoa, that's an awesome accent coming out of a girl, is like a Southern accent, little Southern belle, little Southern charm. Like,
Okay.
oh, bless your heart.
I like an Irish one, and I
You're
like a
calling me
Boston one.
stupid. You're calling me stupid in the sweetest way.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Bless
It's
your heart.
such a passive aggressive way.
So I actually had to look it up because I had someone say that to me, and I wanted to know, like, because it's a jab, like a sweet jab, and I wanted to find out what the comeback to that is, and it's well, aren't you sweet? Just throwing mad shade in the sweetest way, like, oh,
That's
bless
what I'm
your
saying.
heart.
It's like
Well,
less
aren't you
people. If we
sweet?
weren't just saying like, I hope someone shits down your throat to somebody, and you just did it in a polite way, nobody would be mad. We wouldn't have this tension in
Right.
society.
That's
We
why
just
you
gotta
oh,
learn
bless your heart.
passively do it. Like, aren't you just the toolbox short from the shed? So
Yeah.
speak like Carol Channing. That's basically what you have to do. Is just speak like Carol Channing.
Yeah. Oh, your mama tried so hard with you. Like just being a real dick.
It's like if you ever fart real hard, and then you really want to get out of it and not make it awkward, just say that's gonna itch when it gets dry, and then just walk away.
Here you go.
You got to leave them with laughter is what you got to do.
You just leave them with laughter. But
Oh,
yeah,
God.
do you know the Midwest accent's like the most sought after accent for like broadcasting?
No, I don't think so. I
It is.
think it would just be a deep voice. Someone that sounds like Morgan
Yeah,
Freeman.
but the inflection, they look for like if you watch CNN or news anywhere, even like down in the deep south, unless it's like a really small channel, that accent, it sounds like a lack of an accent.
The only time I ever listen to TV, I don't ever listen to it. I just
Oh
watch
yeah, you
it,
don't, do you? Yeah.
Because it's in a gym playing on one of the TVs. I just get to read the captions.
But like those two chicks we just watched, they sounded like they were from my neighborhood. Like the way they talked. You know what I mean? Like
do they have
just no
accents?
accent. No.
One lady had a lisp.
No, there's a little bit of a
When
lisp.
she was talking, it seemed like her teeth were too fixed up. You know what I mean? Where it doesn't have any of the
my teeth are too big.
like the teeth sound like they were too put in like correctly, and it's like so there's like this awkward scent of like the teeth and the tongue don't fit.
Could you imagine using that as an excuse? My speech impediment is because my teeth are too perfect.
Go outside and bite the curb real quick and come back in and start
Just
talking.
file them
That
down.
sounds fucking normal.
Oh man,
That's weird when they put in veneers and they shave those suckers down.
Ugh.
Ugh.
And then when you see someone like when they're in between,
I'm gonna
the
get those done
surgeries,
at some point.
When you see someone when they're in between the surgeries and they just have these gnarly looking fangs before they get their teeth put in,
I'm ready to get all mine just replaced.
just not have time. Just
Tired of dealing with it.
man, brushing teeth is just too much of a hassle.
It's not that.
I
it's
just want fake teeth.
I got hit in the mouth with a bat when I was a kid, so this side of my mouth is like it looks like I'm missing a tooth here. I'm not though. It's just the lighting. There's a tooth there.
It just got pushed back.
Yeah, but I have another tooth that's over here, like a one. I guess it wouldn't be a snaggle tooth. It doesn't look super bad, but it's just one that's out. So I have to get that one either pulled or get the back one pulled. Or honestly, at this point, I just want them gone. Like I chipped my tooth the other couple months back when I was I went outside to go start my car and I lifted the car door handle. Thing snapped off and hit me right in the mouth, and I chipped the whole front.
Oh Jesus!
And I got that replaced, so that's normal. And everything's fine like that. But dude, honestly, at this point, my wisdom teeth came in and just shifted my jaw. My jaw did not match up again. So now I'm just constantly like grinding down into my teeth. And I'm like, at some point, they're just going to have to either get replaced. So I was just
Did
like,
you pull out the wisdom teeth?
no, they're still in there.
Oh, I got mine pulled. I had to get put under.
So I was just, at this point, I'm just like, I'd rather just get either implants or dentures or do something. The issue with dentures is that if you don't replace where that or have an implant where that jaw or that tooth mark, like I'm missing a tooth here, but if they don't put an implant there after years, your jaw, like, when you looks like you see people in their mouth when they take the dentures out, it's all sucked in and their jaw's just deformed. It's because the bone goes away. So if you don't have something there to keep it intact, then the bone won't go away. So you need to replace it with something. But damn, teeth are just expensive in general. You might as well go to another country where they do it for like $6,000, replace your whole fucking mouth.
Yeah, what's up with that, God? What's up with teeth?
God.
You gave us one set for the first 7 years of our life, and then just we have to deal with the rest of them. Like one more set for the next.
Most people by the age of
50 years?
30 are missing a tooth.
Well, if we want to count my wisdom teeth, then I'm missing 4 teeth.
Because most people either play hockey or a sport that gets them knocked out. Like in Canada, all those hockey players, they all are missing teeth. They don't even, like for me, teeth are like, if you lose it, it's like a big thing. But then it's like for hockey players, like, no, fucking, what are you talking about? I lost all mine at the age of like 10.
Oh, whoa! Another one.
Another one.
No, that's funny.
That and baseball players. Because they do
Getting
so
their
much
teeth knocked
dipping
out.
all the time.
I have a friend who has like it's kind of funny. Yeah, he's like my best friend, and he has like PTSD about like baseballs and softballs and stuff. Because when he was a kid, he was at a park and he was running, and there was two people like fast pitching back and forth to each other. And he went to run, and he came up from behind these trees and got pegged right in the face by one of the baseballs. And so now it's like if I'm at a park or something and we're walking, like we went to this minor league game out in Portland, and the team was practicing, and we're walking. And they threw a ball like as we were walking past him, and he's going like this and shit. And like, you all right? He's like, just my PTSD. He's like, I ain't got nothing for nothing else, but like he just hears the Kill Bill sound at the sight of a baseball.
I get that. Corey, we're gonna wrap it because we've been talking longer than 2 hours here.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the time you gave me to talk on
absolutely.
my show.
It's always a pleasure, Robbie.
Is there a place where people can find you, Libservative?
Yeah, Libservative podcast. It's we do a live stream every Wednesday, and it's we come out with a new episode every Friday. We just talk about politics, and we're two intellectual idiots who are just trying to navigate through all the political noise. You can find our websites, libservativeshow.com. We found on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com.
I have a TikTok video that's trending.
Do you?
It's 103,000 views right now.
My record's like 4,000, I think, or something like that. I don't make them enough, I don't think, where the algorithms keep.
I don't even know why that one trended. It was about the assassination of John Lennon.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty good episode.
Behind that one.
It's this guy interviewed, like, you can actually look this up. The official guy who had been saying that he was the one that was pumping John Lennon's heart and everything. Turns out 2 years ago, Fox News and a bunch of people interviewed the actual doctor who did that and stayed in the shadows for 30 something years. He goes, that guy wasn't even in the room. He goes, I was the one that did it. And everyone has confirmed that that was the guy who actually did it. But this guy had just not wanted the credit for it. And he said that there were more than what they said the official story was when it came to the puncture holes in John Lennon's chest. You can listen back to that episode. I recommend it. It's really good. It's David Whelan. His work on that is like extensive. He interviewed like all the doctors, Mark Chapman, all those people. One of the guys who visited Mark Chapman happened to be an MK Ultra doctor too. So that explains why this guy was talking about seeing angels and demons fighting on his cell floor, and one angel gets up into his hand and he pulls it up to his ear, and the guy tells him to plead guilty, and Mark Chapman pleads guilty where none of this evidence could reach the light of day.
Of course.
Fucking nuts. I mean, who shoots somebody who reads Catcher in the Rye? That's something weird right there, man. But I'll save that for another day. I'll link your links in the description. It's been a pleasure chatting, Corey, and thanks everybody for listening to this episode for the Out of the Blank podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode.